Welcome to the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman, and you already know what time it is. We're drafting best ball teams tonight. I've got an extra special guest. He's already in the studio. He's already here. He's going to be live with us. You know him. You love him. You've seen him in the chats. You've seen his streams. A very sharp drafter. None other than the Hartman at FF Stooge is here tonight. We've already started a best ball mania 32nd. There's going to be more drafts to come after that. If you're new to the channel, if it's your first time here, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the like. Get Hartman's link to his channel and his Twitter in the description. And get ready for best ball drafts all summer long. Let's kick it to the intro. But overall, it's like the guy can ball. Like actions speak louder than words. What up, dog?
What's up, Candyman? Thanks for having me on, brother.
Anytime, my friend. How we doing? I saw you ripping some drafts earlier. Tell the people what you were getting into.
Oh, yeah. I was actually able to fill a sprint, so I was pretty happy about that. I joined it like 20 minutes before I started streaming, and then was like posting it everywhere, but happy I was able to get it filled, so able to run one of those on stream. And then
Nice.
I think I just did a puppy super flex after that and called it. But yeah, cool to be able to get in one of those. Those are tough to fill. So getting one of those filled felt pretty good.
No doubt. Not going to lie, I'm pretty sure I've done exactly one sprint, and it was a stream that Pat and I jumped into. We had the same idea at the same time, and I think it was during a Badge Bros stream. So it ended up being pretty funny. I think we were in the overflow actually. So imagine that, an overflow sprint draft stream. I've been interested to do some more of those. I think we'll see what we can get into tonight. Maybe we can fill another sprint. I think it's a fun format. I liked the strategy you were going over as you were getting into yours, being a little bit overweight on Nico Collins. Sign me up.
Yeah, so always sounds like a good idea to you, huh? Overweight on Nico Collins.
Yeah,
I like that thought.
Speaking of overweight on first round receivers, CeeDee Lamb. I'm at like 19% CeeDee Lamb in Best Ball Mania, and I just took him again. So do I have a problem, or is this the way to go?
No, you have the solution. It's not a problem.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm huge on Lamb, but I think when you're at 3 and it goes like that, that might be the way to go. I was kind of looking at this board a little bit wild. Bucky at 11, especially Big Dog
Crazy.
at 9. Yeah.
Some interesting things. We got Omega King in here. Not sure if you're in the chat yet, my man, but I do like T. I'm not afraid to grab T with CeeDee Lamb. I think I've gotten him before. It might have been even last night. I think it was the last night stream that I got T with CeeDee Lamb, but is there anyone else you'd rather have?
I'm cool with T or Taylor. Those are probably my two guys. Either one's fine.
I'm interested to take T and then push and see what running back comes back around. At the same time, Bucky's already gone. Well, this is a very interesting one. Garrett Wilson's gone in the second round to Omega King. We see Bucky going in the first, King Henry going in the first. So I'm trying to figure out which players are sliding if those ones get pulled up, but I don't really see any value sliding to us like necessarily.
Yeah, not really. It was more kind of the end of the draft. Seems like they got a little bit of the value, like BTJ at 15, stuff like that. Bucky's the only one that really got pulled up. I think Taylor was maybe the better, like Taylor and T, maybe one of them goes a pick sooner usually.
I'm cool with Jacobs. I don't feel like I have to take a running back here though. Do you have a preference on this pick?
Jacobs or Terry to go with Lamb. Either
Yeah.
way's fine.
I think I'm feeling pretty good about drafting from this part of the board where we can get some running backs later. So I'm a little bit tempted to go 3 wide receivers, and we're the only team. Well, potentially there's 2 other teams that could pull this off in our pod, right? The Puka Drake London is a nice start, actually a really nice start. I don't see that very often.
Yeah.
A Monraw Neighbors is fun too. Why is that? How come? So Puka just a very very slight fall to 8, nothing crazy, but then London to 17. Is that what we're seeing? Is the effect of Derrick Henry and Bucky Irving and AJ Brown going before him?
Yeah, I think Henry might be one spot before him in ADP,
Right.
but Bucky and there was another one that yeah, I
Brock
guess it's
Bowers
just
fell
really
too.
oh yeah, huh. So I guess Bucky and Henry going before because you see London and Henry kind of go like they flip each other sometimes.
Sure.
So I guess just those two going before him that kind of just pushed him back. Um, but yeah, I guess that's kind of it why you don't see it as much. Also, just some people they might not take Drake London with their Puka. Puka maybe even sometimes goes at like 7 instead of 8.
Right.
Because Genty at 7 is, some people are doing it, but it's not every time. So that could also be a little part of it. Uh, you know, it's maybe not the craziest, but yeah, definitely a little hard to get.
It makes sense. I don't think I've got a Puka London team yet, so I'm a little jealous of that start. Chase Brown at 32 also feels very nice. That might be my favorite start on the board right now. Just doing a quick look around. I don't mind what it's hard to have a bad looking team through 3 rounds, but just kind of a different combo for me. A Puka, Drake London, Chase Brown seems like a pretty nice start.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's one of the better matchups to target, I think.
Yeah.
Like that Rams Falcons, that feels like a really nice matchup to target week 17.
Monday Night Football in Atlanta. If I've got a team in a finals with any hope of a big payout, I might be booking a flight to Atlanta. I might be buying a ticket to that game and sweating it in real time. Monday night, the last game standing, maybe buy a ticket day of, standby or something if I'm feeling like I've got a chance to win one of these tournaments, take something down. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Sorry for starting late, guys. You know how it is, though. But we're here. We're drafting. Appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you slap the like on the way in. We got Thad on real time. Hashtag QBs matter. Always. Nick Bach in the building, winning the flex. Love to see it. Liked the $5 puppy. Well, the vote can't be taken back, so I'm going to hold you to it. This banded, what up, my friend? How we doing? How we doing? Bindles, of course. Love to see you in the chat. Hope you're having a great Saturday. My 2 favorite streamers. That's so sweet, Nick. So sweet. Very nice lie. Appreciate
What a
that.
nice guy.
What a nice liar.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, Nick, thanks for being here. And then look, me and you popping in the chat. Omega, damn, ran into the stream draft. Yes, I thought you might pop in for a sec. We're gonna say your name 3 times if you didn't pop in by the 3rd round. So glad you could make it in. A very interesting start, Omega King. The Garrett Wilson in round 2. Stand on business. I like it though. And then you get a nice fall in Josh Jacobs. So a little bit of a pretty robust start. Gibbs and Jacobs, though, that can get it done. So we'll see what we can do from here. I mean,
That feels like a pretty nice start to get at like double anchor, but I think also the room, it's not like a stream room necessarily. Omega King, but the rest of the people not as much.
yeah, for sure. And it's Saturday night. Anything can happen. A lot of people are maybe getting into a best ball mania, and maybe they're doing some volume. Maybe it's their first time. Who knows? I know we like George Kittle. Travis Hunter is still there. Do you think that's the obvious click?
Yeah, I guess you scoop up a little bit of the value.
Would it be worth it to go with either Hampton or Pickens?
I mean, I think maybe we target Pickens on the way back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like if we do, we'll be going like full zero RB.
Sure.
a little tough, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big guy on cornerback one Travis Hunter, but with a little bit of value, that's the time to take him. So
When
yeah.
Travis Hunter is not only your cornerback one, but also your wide receiver four, I feel like you can kind of float the risk, with these true studs up top. And then, I mean, I love him as a prospect. I think he's got great hands, super productive, and just kind of like a superstar character, Heisman winner, won all the awards you can possibly get in college. So I think there's some intangibles that he's got, and whether or not we see that in year one to be determined. But I'm ready to take the risk kind of later in round 4 and kind of in the middle of round 4 too. But there were some veterans I like DK and Sutton that went, and Smith that went, that I would have definitely considered equally. Um,
Well, and I agree with that on Hunter. Like in a heavier receiver build, even if he does end up being a little spiky or takes a little time to like come on, it could feel really nice. So do we want to go full like zero RB, get Pickens, and then like really shut it down at receiver for a while, or do we want like a mix in like bell cow type guy?
I think where we are on the board with pick 70 and 75, we can still get some pretty strong ball carriers. You want to just grab Pickens here?
Yeah, and we have Terry too, so we've kind of already bet on that game. So getting
Hell yeah.
Pickens and Lamb with Terry, now we have that game like fully built out with all the top weapons.
That's pretty
And we're
sick.
probably still looking at like Quinshawn, Caleb Johnson, those type of guys on the way back. So that feels pretty good.
So out of my 7 CD Lamb teams, and my CSV is only updated to Thursday night. So like I did I think I did 3 best ball manias last night. One of them was a CD team, I'm pretty sure, but pretty close to what I've actually got. 7 CD Lamb teams, 2 of them with Pickens. So I'm not shy about it. And then with McLaurin, I've only got him once, so I'm happy to get him again. It didn't look like T showed up, but I'm pretty sure I drafted a CD Lamb T team last night, and then Hunter on 2 of them. So this is somewhat unique, just a combination. Definitely this kind of 0 RB start. And then I think we can pull it off. I think I have been taking a lot of 2 and 3 running backs through 6 or 7 rounds, much more than I did last year. But I've also been jealous of that when you're in like the first 3 to 4 picks on the draft board. There's always running backs in round 6 and 7 that are very attractive. Typically, you can see some of them fall. You'd have to get super lucky for like a Kamara to fall. We see him go at 57 in this one. But there's just some other names that I've seen fall pretty regularly to this spot. And then if we had to pull one guy up who typically goes to the end of round 7 as a running back to the beginning of round 7, like I don't hate that. I don't think it's that big of a, not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely can agree with that because I think those guys at the end of round 7 can be a similar tier to the guy on the turn. Because the
Yeah.
guys on the turn, it's a lot of rookies for the most part, right? Because it's like you're looking at maybe Trevion, but usually like Quinshawn, Caleb Johnson. Those are the pretty normal ones. It does
Pollard,
seem like
Smith,
running backs are right.
maybe
And like
maybe
Pollard, Swift are
Connor,
kind of
maybe
the
James
cool.
Conner falls. That's kind of what I'm.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout too.
We'll see. I
Yeah,
probably shouldn't
see,
have said that. We got Omega in here,
I
but
mean the
he started off
running
so
backs.
robust that I'm not. I don't think that's the way he's playing it. We'll see.
Yeah, these running backs are really flying off the board.
Kind of are, because Montgomery typically would have been there too as another guy I would have thought we could target. And then
Yeah. Huh.
Trader Joe, what up, brother? Hope you're having a great Saturday night with the Week 17 exposure. No doubt, we're game stacking for Week 17. We're trying to win it all in the week where the money's paid out, and we'll see. I like this start so far. It's a little different, but I want to get some extreme builds into my portfolio, and I got a sharp drafter like Hartman here. I don't think we can go too wrong. I'm pretty confident we can land this one and make the right choices down the stretch. But when your wide receiver room looks like this, you have a pretty good chance of having the wide receiver 1 of the week in week 17. And that's kind of what you need to win all the money.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean we got both Dallas guys, so we got it for sure. But yeah, with a receiver room like this, I mean, it does feel pretty good as long as we can hit on even one good running back.
Ooh.
And if we get two, then we're like supercharged.
Burrow made it all the way to 67. I wasn't even really thinking about him that much at pick
Yeah.
70, but it would have been an option, right? So James Conner is there. I think that's the snap click, right?
Yeah, yeah, James Conner. That feels good.
And Olave is there too. I mean, not a bad value, but I don't think we need Olave in this build. So James Conner, a bring back for the Week 17 game with T. Higgins, also a stud running back, number one in juke rate, number one in elusiveness among running backs last season. He can handle the rock. He's got the workload. He's got the trust of the coaches. A great story, a cancer survivor. It goes on and on. He's always been good for fantasy. And I think people are a little bit sleeping on him. I think he probably deserves to be going, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 spots higher.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's really the difference between like James Conner and Kamara? Like,
True.
I mean, it's hard to really like, at least to
Touchdown.
me, they're very similar players.
I think James Conner maybe gets lucked into a little bit more touchdowns at sometimes than Kamara gets into, but we've seen when Kamara hits his ceiling, it's because of touchdowns usually. But he's got a really safe floor with the receptions. Judkins, of course, is there. Pollard's there. Swift is there. And I'm trying to think who would make the most sense in this one for us.
I lean Judkins, but I'd be okay with Pollard. I just think the upside like Judkins could be pretty massive, but unless you have correlation or anything, I don't think we do.
Not enough for me to go over Judkins. I'm definitely bullish on Judkins, and I never regret taking him in a draft. I think every time I think more about it, I'm questioning why Judkins goes after Henderson sometimes.
Yeah.
I think there's ambiguity, I guess, in both teams in what direction they're going, but I think of this Browns team and I think of Kevin Stefanski as a coach, and I have confidence that he'll get it right and bring some stability to that situation, even though the quarterback is kind of ambiguous. But with the Patriots, it's another new situation. Drake May, year 2. We're kind of already baking in a lot of their upside range of outcomes. The Browns, I think we're also like a little bit we're kind of undercounting them.
Right. And I think the Browns have a really solid O-line too. And the Patriots, like they added some help, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a good O-line after being a terrible one.
Okay.
But I think also with Trevion, people get a lot more in on him because of like his profile, like explosive pass catcher.
That's
where
true.
Judkins can be explosive, but he kind of profiles more like that workhorse type build that's maybe not quite as explosive. And I think people just get a little less excited about that. Kind of like you said, everyone loves the Patriots. Like Drake May is the dude. The Patriots are going to be so much better this year. But I also think Trevion's competition's a lot more real than Judkins. I think Ramondre is way scarier than Ford or Sampson.
I would agree to that. I would definitely think that that Ramondre's kind of been hanging around for a while. He was one of those guys when I think back a few years in fantasy, it was like, wow, Ramondre hit and no one really thought that was going to be a sure thing. Dameon Pierce hit and no one thought that was going to be a sure thing. And then we're a few seasons later and they've kind of Dameon Pierce is like not even drafted, and then Ramondre is still sticking around, but how quickly could Trevion replace him? So that's my bull case for Trevion is like maybe he's just the guy immediately, and he's not getting injured. He can handle the rock. The only reason he split work in college was because of some of the injuries he was dealing with, and Ohio State had the luxury of being able to bring in, 5-star players, A-list talent at every position, and so they could more evenly distribute the ball around, where the Patriots are limited by their ability to draft and the draft capital and their salary cap, whatever. And so it's a little bit more artificially constrained on how much talent they actually can build up on a team. So they might just look at Trevion like this is our most talented player, with give him the ball as much as possible kind of thing. So that's kind of my devil's advocate, like bull case for Trevion is he is explosive. He's a good pass catcher. What if he's just the best player on his team?
Yeah, no, I mean, I could definitely see that. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm overweight on both these guys.
Me too.
So just to like be clear, like I'm overweight on both, but I mean, that's exactly why I'm buying in on him too. I just think maybe Ramondre gets more work than we're happy with, but like you're saying, especially kind of that late season thing that happens to teams, like kind of like a Bucky situation where maybe he splits with the less efficient guy, but then as the season goes on, they're really trying to compete.
Okay.
Yeah, facts. Like as the season goes on, they're really trying to compete, then the younger guy really takes over and hammers like those weeks where you really need them.
Right.
So I could definitely see that too. Kind of like a Bucky, a Gibbs. I mean, I guess Montgomery got hurt, but the idea, the more talented guy, they give him more work than maybe they want to because they're really trying to compete.
Yeah. What up, Dark Side Dev? How you doing, brother? How's your Saturday night going? What are you drafting? I agree with this sentiment. I think this is actually pretty spot on. Maybe not the bell cow, but a spike week guy, and maybe the NFL is just going towards more of split backfields. What is Henderson's upside? Is he the Gibbs of the Patriots kind of deal? Like I could see that as like a high end comp. Just maybe he could achieve that. He doesn't have exactly the same profile as Gibbs, not the exact same draft capital, but in that kind of same vein, I guess.
Well, the offensive line performance is what really scares me on the Patriots. I know they did bring in help, but it's worrisome. Um,
I don't think we need a QB or a tight end at this point, so it's really going to be running back and wide receiver. Downs is there. Obviously, Brian
um,
Robinson's there. If we want to play more into that Week 17 game,
I like Downs, Robinson, Mason, any of those three. If you want to go receiver, we can go receiver and see if the turn because I like all three of those running backs.
you want to grab
So like,
Robinson then because we'll just play into that game.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, I
Maybe
was
it's
leaning a little towards Downs because I think
yeah,
all three of the running backs were fine. But if we
yeah.
want to get to the game stack, that feels okay. Like, I I guess I don't know. I wonder how you feel about this. Do you think like a guy like Brian Robinson is valuable as a bring back because the scoring will likely be high in that game? Or do you think he doesn't really fit into the narrative of that game being high scoring?
Hmm. As opposed to him getting more work if it's a low scoring, grinded out defensive game.
Right, exactly. Or we can
Mm,
talk about it after this one.
sure.
Um, I'd probably lean another running back, right?
I kind of
Unless
do
we want to
too.
grab Dak. I mean, it's a lot of no badges. They've been making some questionable picks. I don't know. It might be too early, but we have the double.
I don't hate the idea. I kind of like the sentiment. You think we just do it?
Sure.
Oh, just
Nope.
kidding. Well, we'll push him. I was really
Yeah.
on the fence because I think there's like an 80% chance he'll come back around. I feel pretty good, but I also
Yeah.
love Cam Scattaboo. And maybe we should have taken Downs there. I do really like Downs as well. I kind of also thought Downs would come back around. I just didn't expect him to get snapped up right at ADP. I feel like he's been rising a little bit, but also he's sometimes you can get him. So I think four straight running backs, though, that puts us in a good spot now to hammer out the QB and the tight end situation. Maybe
Mhm.
take another receiver before it's too late to help with the week 10 bye and just get one more really solid upside rookie kind of guy. But yeah, so I get what you're saying about Brian Robinson. Maybe we should have gone Downs and then taken one of Robinson or Scattaboo. I might have liked that better.
Yeah, it's just like kind of a thought I had. I don't even really know. Like, I would I'm definitely not opposed to taking a running back like that with a game stack. It's just
Yeah,
something I've been kind of thinking about a little bit lately. Like, does he actually fit the narrative if we're saying like we have Terry, we have both Dallas pass catchers. He's not much of a pass catcher. Like he can
right.
catch, but not crazy. So like, does he fit the narrative? Just because if it is a high scoring game though, and Washington gets down at the one a lot or down short yardage, he definitely could. He could get 2 touchdowns or something for sure in a
I
high
think
scoring game.
I think
So,
where I'm coming from on him is maybe he doesn't play into our week 17 like game stack. Like obviously he's on the team. I think of him almost as just like a bet on the Commanders to continue to be really good and score a lot of touchdowns, and maybe Jaden Daniels can repeat or even do better. And if their offense is just humming and like one of these top elite offenses, I just want more pieces of it. And in round 8, it's not super expensive, where also the running backs are starting to become more of the contingent slash RB2 type guys. And I know that Brian Robinson splits the work with Eckler, but they didn't outright replace him in the draft. And so I've gone back and forth on like not liking him and like liking him. I think I just want pieces that are going to get snaps in that offense, the Commanders, and then like the fact that he's in that Week 17 game maybe kind of put me over the edge to take him ahead of Downs. But I also would have liked the Downs pick there.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of view it because we do have Terry. So it's not just for a bring back. We're betting on the offense as a whole.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's definitely a good way to view it. Like, and I mean, I like the Brian Robinson pick. Um, I think I do think maybe Downs there if and maybe we would have got B-Rob back, but maybe not. You never really know. So, and we have strong receivers. Our receivers are so strong. We didn't need one there. Now we're kind of strong at both receiver and running back.
yeah. We'll see. Maybe there's another receiver we still like. It's kind of drying up. I was gonna maybe draw the line around if someone like I know Bateman's been rising since his contract. Shaheed, I think people are wising up on. I know that ETR ranked Shaheed pretty high, and so he's been rising in the last week. Not just because of that, but just in general, I think people are remembering that he's actually pretty good.
And his camp stuff's looking pretty good too. They're saying he's like fully healthy, running routes full speed, like good to go. So, sounds pretty good for him. All
So
right, so you
obviously, we
like
just
that?
grabbed Dak. There's nothing worth pushing him,
I think
and
so.
we
Yeah.
just don't trust the room enough. We've got a 1-4-5-0 build through our first 10 picks. Dak Prescott stacked up with not only CeeDee Lamb, but George Pickens, the T. Higgins, McLaurin, Hunter in between. And then we went 4 straight running backs: Connor Judkins, B. Rob Jr., Cam Scattaboo.
So, do we want to grab our other quarterback here, or is there a receiver you like more?
Well, it does look like the QBs are kind of flying right now.
And we
What
only
would
have
that?
one stack remaining.
I think you're right though. We just get him here, right? We don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, or we could look at the BTJ team if you want, see if they have a lot of QBs.
Let me try to get over there real quick. So BTJ in the 10 spot has only Murray. There's no way Lawrence comes back
Yeah,
around. We just grab him.
yeah, because he's our only other stacking option available, right? We don't
Yes,
have any other receivers we can stack with.
that's right. I think that's a really good call. And round 11, perfect time to grab a QB2.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it's a little bit ahead of ADP, but it's not crazy. Like, I don't know, less than a round. So
I do the mental math where it's average draft position, and I would say Trevor Lawrence is stacked with one of his receivers probably 75 or 80% of the time. And so you count for that. But every time I take, like, I wasn't opposed to taking Dak at pick 99. I just thought we could get away with it, and we did, luckily. But like every time I take a receiver, and depending on the draft capital, like we had CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, that in my mind moves Dak from whatever his ADP is to like you want to take him about a round early. So we really kind of straddle that fine line. And with Trevor Lawrence, I think we take him at least a half round early, just because we had the Travis Hunter stack, if not a whole round early again, because now we're an extra round later. So the draft capital it's worth less and less. And so like
mhm.
that's kind of the mental math that I'm doing where it's like I want to secure the stack. What in the draft can I get later? Could I get another tight end, running back, or receiver later? Yes. Could I get another stacked QB later? Not really. Not with the same draft capital we've already invested. So I thought when you said that, it really clicked for me. It's like we've already invested in Hunter. We can't take another receiver at any point in this draft that has that same amount of draft capital built in that we have with Hunter. We should stack them.
Well, and I think especially with the receivers we picked, with not stacked, the T and Terry, their quarterbacks are gone, right? So their options are completely done. Like if
Yes.
we did get like a, I don't know, like Devonte Adams, for example, and we had another option, maybe it is more worth it to push it. But when we have no one else that we can even stack, like we're really just looking at back stacks with like ancillary pieces, like on basically every team at this point, right?
Yes.
And yeah. And even when it came back, I don't even know if there'll be QBs we like a ton that have much backstack options anyway.
I can think of one. But you're right though. It's pretty tough. We'd have to pull one guy up a little bit. Maybe there's two, but I don't like for instance for Cam Ward, I don't love his backstacking options. Uh
Yeah, that's
Bry-
tough.
Bryce Young's the one I do like his backstacking options. And then
Yeah.
I guess we don't really know what's going on with the Steelers yet, but like I was saying in your chat earlier, I think Aaron Rodgers is criminally undervalued. And I'm a guy who drafted 0% Aaron Rodgers in 2023, just didn't like the vibes. But so, and I've been thinking in this in my head, I think there's so much, I'll call it like the Travis Kelce effect of where like he's constantly in the news, he's constantly covered by the media. People have already like decided they are out on Aaron Rodgers, and it's not because of what he's done on the field. It's because of what he's doing in the media and outside off the field activity. And if you factor that in and just say like half of the people drafting are just out on Aaron Rodgers, his ADP is going to stay really suppressed to his actual value, where he's he's one spike week away from being Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I do think he offers like less rushing upsides that,
Yep.
and there will be lower pace. So maybe I don't know if he can quite like in 1 week he could for sure hit these guys. But okay, let's make this. Uh yeah, I'd probably go Goddard or Blue,
Yep.
I guess. Probably Goddard,
I like
right?
Goddard a lot. Um,
Yeah. I view him over those other tight ends by a good chunk too.
do
So
you think it's worth grabbing Blue at the little bit of a fall or no?
I mean we can. That's fine.
I think we do it and
Yeah.
just say the upside of what Blue pays off is always going to be better than the upside of what Goddard pays off.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just think because we were pretty good at running back already.
I know.
It was more like the capital, but I do get what you're saying. The swing on Blue, I mean, that's like a swing for the fences.
And
Um,
it makes sense where we've already got so many Cowboys. I feel good enough about the tight ends that remain. I do like Goddard a lot, but we just don't
hmm.
require Goddard in this one. It just would have been like a nicer kind of option. Do you prefer the
uh,
stack with Strange then, or you think there's just better talent like with Ertz
could
or Freiermuth?
we see receiver really quick?
Yeah, we probably should go there, but it's already at like Leggett range or Tillman, and then
Um,
Dobbs or Thielen,
I lean
Pierce.
Strange or your favorite receiver. Either one's fine.
Let's just take Strange and see what comes back around because it's kind of that receiver dead zone where you could pull a guy up in these late 40s, early 50s, or he comes back around and he's still there in like late 60s.
Well, that gives us a double with T-Law. We only had the single piece. So that feels pretty good to get the double with them. You know,
Yeah,
Strange is a fair value, I think. Like, it's a little bit of projecting his role, but no one's really there to compete with him. He
it's
might
pretty
get a decent
gross.
amount of targets.
It's pretty
Yeah,
gross to me. I can
the target value might be okay.
I don't know if I was saying it to you live on stream before or if I've just been in the chat saying it, but I think Strange could be one of the worst tight end picks on the board. It's all projected volume. It's nothing he's done, and he used to be a free pick in the big board, last round pick, undrafted. Now he's going in round 13. It just seems like we've already priced in that he pays off as good as a Dallas Goddard, who's been like a tight end 5 to 8 for like half a decade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dalton Kincaid goes in this range too. He hasn't done,
He's also a trash pick, and so is Kyle Pitts.
and so is likely.
But imagine man, only 10 picks before we could have gotten Tyler Warren or Tucker
That's
Kraft.
crazy. Yeah.
That sucks. That makes Britton Strange feel really bad. But we've got the stack. We're just playing to win in week 17. It's not a season long scoring game. So in that way, that's the only way I can justify taking Strange. Is this tournament is all about week 17. You got to get there, but the only way to get paid is to do really well in that week. And so we need to make a big bet on what could happen in that week, and maybe
Jacksonville.
Strange helps us there.
Yeah, and like I don't it's not that I'm really a believer in his talent. It's just like, the targets outside of Hunter and BTJ. And then like, if Hunter is like, let's say Hunter's a big play like machine, but he's not on the field quite as much. Strange could like back his way into a decent target share, maybe a couple touchdowns. Like, I don't know. I think with these late tight ends, it's not like I have a ton of confidence in most of them. So
Touchdown
getting
upside is
him
all
there
you need.
feels okay. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And
And
if we're
also,
thinking Jacksonville would be a better offense, then that doesn't feel too bad. We made a decent bet on Jacksonville,
yep.
so it doesn't feel terrible.
If Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback you need in Week 17, it's probably gonna because of all of his options do really well, and so I would think that would be a situation where like he has a huge passing game, and so you want pieces of that. Obviously, Brian Thomas would be a big part of it too, but Strange could. I have to look at his game logs to see what his ceiling has been so far, but could just be like let's just say like super ceiling would be like he catches like 8 balls for like 60 or 80 yards, maybe not even a touchdown, but like even that could hit your lineup and be enough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
We'll
mean,
get some
it
late.
was kind
We'll
of a
get some late
gross
tight ends
spot too. We didn't have like a lot of good options right there anyway. Because like you were saying, like receiver was probably the other thing we wanted, but they were all like kind of pull up guys. So
and the guys I wanted in receiver are still there. Do you want to take a receiver here since we've taken such a long pause and grab like a Pierce who's a bring back for that Lawrence game, or would you want to get
yeah.
Ertz and just secure one more Commander Dallas piece and a pretty good value at tight end?
Well, the people between us do have two tight ends already.
Yep.
So
Boom.
maybe we push it.
I think you're
Okay,
right.
yeah. I mean, it's a little risky, but we
Well,
also do have a
also,
lot of that Commanders team, so we don't need Ertz. It just would feel good to get him.
yeah, Pierce has been rising just a little bit. ADP 170, so we got him right before that. And then people take the tight ends they feel they like the best. So like I guess I'd scroll up. Ertz is technically first in ADP, but someone could just be like, "Well, I want Gesicki. I've built out the Bengals. Oh, I want Otten. I've built out the Bucks." Like they don't. It's not like that
Yeah.
strict in this range around ADP,
Well, someone took Hunter Henry on that turn.
right?
Um,
So we got lucky there. I think
yeah.
now the real
And
question is Ertz the pick? Do we want to get
yeah,
something else?
I think Ertz is the pick, right?
I think
I mean, I
so.
like those two receivers you put. If you want to take either one, I'm fine with that. I like both of them, but
I think
yeah,
Ertz
I lean Ertz.
for the same argument I made with Brian Robinson, even if Ertz isn't the guy we need in Week 17, at least he's there. But as a season long bet with the Commanders just being a smash of an offense, I want more pieces, and I feel like Ertz gives us some floor. Where Strange is more of like just a stack play, and I think the floor and Strange could be like mostly 0 to 4 point weeks throughout the season.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see that. Ertz is a little bit more consistent, maybe in that offense, so that feels good. Like we have the Commanders kind of bet on at every level. We have Dallas bet on at running back and with both pass catching options, like the top pass catching options. So, I mean, it feels like yeah, if that game's a smash, we have basically every piece that matters. Hopefully, it's not a Debo week. There probably won't be too many of those though.
We'll see. And then
Yeah,
I think, potentially it could be one where we just stop at the two QBs, considering we don't really have that great of options remaining. And so
yeah.
we just continue to build out three tight ends potentially, I think would make sense. We could take another receiver luxury pick or another running back luxury pick. But with James Conner, Quinn Sean Judkins, Brian Robinson Jr., Cam Scattaboo, and Jaden Blue, I wouldn't hate stopping with those five. They all have different bye weeks. We've got three rookies with a ton of upside and then two veterans on perceivably like pretty good offenses. Maybe the Cardinals are attractive still. They're definitely attractive for fantasy, but in real life, maybe like they've been somewhat underwhelming. But and so all that to say is like I don't think we have any huge issues except at wide receiver. We've got 3 week 10 buys for the wide receivers. So at that point, I'm leaning towards 8 receivers just to build out a little bit of depth. But counter argument to that is we have so much draft capital. We don't necessarily need volume there.
Yeah, I mean, I would also lean 8 receivers, just get some depth for that bye week when it hits. That That's kind of my lean, especially with us having like a little bit more flexibility with only needing 5 running backs. I
And two
think just
QBs.
try to cover us.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could look at there's one QB we could look at, like Dimes,
Yeah.
but we definitely don't need them at all.
I'm pretty open
Um,
to that, especially with the recent injury news. But
that's what kind of made me more open to him, but
I think the
um
consensus is that like Richardson should be fine for things to start, but it's just kind of bad vibes, right?
well yeah, and like I don't know if he really was gonna win the job anyway. And
Right.
just like missing more time, re-aggravating it. Steichen says he probably won't need surgery. Never something you want to hear. Um I don't know. It just has opened me up a little bit more to it. Like we could even like Coker's fine. We could get 80 Mitchell and Dimes. We could double stack it. Uh
I'm actually kind of open to that. Excuse me. And then maybe let's just take well, is Mitchell and Pierce kind of a negative correlation or is just
oh like
more
duplicative. We could go Coker first and then see how we feel. I'm fine with Coker. Is that
uh,
your lean? Or
I don't know. I'm starting to take a lot of Coker more than I'm comfortable with. I've been drafting him in the 18th and the 17th, now the 16th round. I guess it's not that much different. I like the
Mhm.
talent though. And I'm not I guess, a second year guy, we need some late season, could take over a role again. I think that's just a nice way to get off of the picks you've already made. I did think that Mitchell and Pierce were kind of duping each other, and maybe we want to stay away from that.
I mean, if we did want a running back, I do really like Hunter here,
Me too.
but we probably don't need him. So I don't know. Or what about tight end? Is anyone
It didn't look very
usable?
great to me.
Yeah, yeah, we could wait till the last pick if we want. Go with whoever you're leaning. All right, Hunter. I
Yeah, I
like
think
I like Jarquez Hunter a lot, and that gives us some upside that feels nice.
I
Um,
love Hunter. I hadn't got as much in Best Ball Mania, but I'm working up. I took him once last night, I think. Oh, that's Travis Hunter. No, just kidding. I do have a lot in Best Ball Mania. I've got him on, geez, a fourth of my team. So I've got him on like,
so 9 teams.
yeah, 9 teams. This will be 10. So I'm pretty in on him. I would say one of my higher exposures. I knew that didn't look right. I saw the Travis Hunter exposure and I thought that was the Jarquez, but I was like, oh, maybe I've just been taking Jarquez and the puppies and schnauzers and whatever else. But no, we have a ton of rookie running backs. That's I think a lot of upside. And then yeah, I'm pretty obsessed with Hunter, and I think he carves out a role potentially next to Kyron, and then also has contingent value. But I think he has standalone value too. He falls a little bit past ADP. It's a different game we can get into. It's a season long bet for like a guy that hits, and then so we've got just one last pick. It's probably going to be a tight end, and then so we feel good with those a 2 6 7 3 kind of build. If Dimes is
Yeah.
there, is there a time when you'd say that he's worth more than the extra tight end?
I think it depends on the tight ends. I just saw Juwan Johnson and Schultz go off the board.
Yeah.
So if it's a tight end like Jatavion could be okay. I kind of like Terrence Ferguson. It is like kind of just a hope that he plays. I guess I don't know. I don't know because we have T-Law and Dak. They don't really give us the rushing floor. Dimes has a little more rushing floor.
Yep.
So we could have some low weeks with those two. Dimes could just be on the bench some weeks. Do you have a strong feeling about any of those tight ends?
I have a stronger feeling about Conklin recently. He's got the historical production. I mean, 159 targets over the last 2 seasons. That's probably like top 12 among all tight ends or top 15. It's definitely up there.
Yeah, and I mean the most consistent 3-year run of targets out of any player ever. 87 3 years in a row is wild work. But
Yeah.
yeah, he was always pretty good on the Jets. It was just like lack of QB play. He's always been a good target earner.
Right.
I do think he could have a pretty good role.
I
They
was
might run a lot of 12 personnel being run heavy. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
cutting you off.
no doubt. I was curious early on if Disley would maintain the job, considering Disley kind of had a career year. At least a recent one. I think he might have had one better year. No, actually, I think it was Disley's best year. But Conklin comes on. They get him. I think I'm starting to hear good things about Conklin. The coaches like him. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. I think he probably wins from that perspective. And then a Justin Herbert tight end is not like the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah, no, that feels good to me. And that system, Greg Roman's system, Jim Harbaugh head coach. I think, if he can take over a good snap share, he's like an absolute smash pick where he goes.
Yes, and then we like Dewan Johnson, right? Look at his last 3-4 years. It's like he's got maybe more touchdown upside, but from just a receptions and targets perspective, he's kind of like a 90% to Conklin. He just has he had 1 year with more touchdowns and maybe a little bit. He's thought of as more athletic, more of a receiving type, where Conklin's more of like I guess he's a blocker and hasn't really truly hit a ton of touchdowns in any season.
Well, but I mean, 87 targets is pretty good receiving volume. I think it's just the new team situation, and like you said with Disley, like we know Jawan is tight end 1 on the Saints, where Conklin, there's a chance that partway through the season he's not tight end 1 and as a receiving option, right? That's the risk that you carry. Like his routes run snap share being lower. And also Taysom Hill's cooked, so that's a little bit bullish for Jawan. But the offense as a whole is probably gonna be a lot worse. So, all these guys though, they're not too much different.
That's a good point. I think the league. So actually, so on that point you made, the league is kind of. There are a lot of 2 tight end situations. So having Disley as your competition is not the most intimidating. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Gadsden, I am getting the vibes that the coaching thinks he's more of a project long term. Let's see what he can do. Pure receiving play. Got to teach him how to block. Where Conklin is this veteran who can be trusted in probably a lot of different formations than just as a pure receiving option, and they're going to like that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, you don't ever see hardly anyone take Disley or Gadsden in a draft ever. So, and I think there's a reason for that. Conklin's clearly the best bet. And if he does take over that role pretty well, or they run a lot of 12, like he can definitely be a great pick on the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert targets tight ends. Greg Roman uses tight ends in his offensive system.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like him as a pick in general.
That
I feel
makes
like
sense.
that team came out pretty good overall.
Yeah, we'll take a swing through it in a sec. We'll check Omega King's team as well. He snuck in here and then figured out he was in a stream draft, which is always fun. I'm gonna just catch up with the boys real quick because we got so deep into our conversation and our strategy. We typically do that where it's like we get so board focused of what's going on. But I just want to check and see. Yeah, so Omega's 17% on both New England backs. I think that's a pretty good, pretty interesting take. Yeah, Dark Side, appreciate you being here. Yeah, 2 running back backfields. Thad's definitely on the same wavelength that I think we are. Okay. Rabel take, some confidence in him. Yeah, I've thought this a lot too. I've stacked Eckler with Jaden Daniels almost every time, I think. I probably have more Eckler Jaden Daniels teams than Jaden Daniels without him, which I think it's fine. He goes so late.
Yeah. Feels pretty good.
Yeah, but I'm much more in on Eckler at cost than B-Rob in general, but I want to mix him in.
Yeah, Eckler went like 400 almost last year, and he missed a bunch of games.
Right.
He's not as washed, I think, as the price would indicate.
I think likely is good. I think it's tough because he's splitting the work with Andrews. Obviously, I think if Andrews moved on, likely be a super riser, but also likely can't keep his damn toes in bound.
Yeah, that one not as much of a player take, more of a Mark Andrews is playing more snaps take.
Yeah. What's up? It's Beryl. How we doing, brother? Hope you're keeping the lights on out there in the baseball field. Pretty nice profile pic up to bat too. Strange did just fine in limited tight end one duty last year. Yeah, I want to look more into that because for some reason I feel like I'm kind of off of him. But we'll do a little bit of investigation before this next draft, real quick. But I think that's I want to look more into that. Pick Mason Taylor and chill. I've got a ton of Mason Taylor. Hartman, what's your Mason Taylor exposure at?
My Mason Taylor exposure, probably quite a bit.
I'm at 10 teams. I've got 10 Mason Taylor teams in Best Ball Mania alone. That feels a little rich, but I've taken a shit ton of fields too. If I look at my Jets, I've gotten 11. No, that's also 10 teams. I've got 10 teams of both fields and Mason Taylor. It's pretty crazy.
So total exposure, I'm at 11% Mason Taylor. And then, just BBM, I've done 36. I have 8 Mason Taylor teams. So
yeah,
I'm
we need to find God a little bit. I think we're so exposed to Mason Taylor, but typically he's my tight end 3, so I don't really worry that much.
Yeah, well, and I'm like you too with the Justin Fields. My Justin Fields exposure
it's the back stack.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing works better than that. Justin Fields, Mason Taylor. Match made in heaven.
Yeah, that to me would be probably his ceiling outcome. That to me is like somewhere between like his like 85th to like 95th percentile outcome for Strange. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. I feel like sometimes I got to see it before I believe it. That would probably put him as like tight end 8 on the season or like 9 or 10 on the season. So that would more than justify his cost. I'm probably predicting something from Strange like a little bit more conservative, maybe like 450 and like 3 to 4 touchdowns, like most conservative. But I need to check back on like the Mike Clay ranks or projections and see like what he thought, because I just don't know what other tight ends are there to take the work, but maybe they're just not going to use him a ton. I'm not sure yet.
Well, but Strange didn't get a ton of playing time till later in the season, right?
I think so, because that was when Evan Ingram was out.
Right, but he still finished last year with 40 catches, 411, and 2 touchdowns.
Okay, maybe I need to adjust a little bit. We'll look into it because I need to figure that one out. Yeah, I like Juwan Johnson straight up over Strange, and at ADP it makes even more sense. I think that's kind of where I've been coming at, because maybe that's why I'm like so out on Strange. Nice, number 30. I think this was like my 41st best ball. I'm not sure. I've kind of lost count, but I've done a bunch this week.
Yeah, that's quite a bit of volume.
What up, Putt Daddy? Yeah, sweet wide receiver room. No doubt. We're about to review it. Nick Box getting into a marathon. He got +3. I'm not really feeling the marathon as much, just because it's such a different format in scoring. I've got 7 slow marathons going, but I think tonight I want to do more of. I think my alternate for tonight would be like an eliminator, but my main thing tonight would be like doing best ball manias or maybe even sprints. I'm kind of excited about the sprint, seeing Hartman do one earlier, and I know they're kind of hard to fill. So I threw a poll in there. Y'all happy to vote however way you want. We could do another best ball mania. We could try to see how filled the sprint is or the eliminator. GG's, Omega King. Always fun drafting with you, brother. Best of luck getting out of this pod. I think that's probably true, Dev. I think that's probably where I'm at with Disley the more I've thought about it. Okay, so Clay has him projected pretty high. I would have thought that if that's Clay and he's like a median projection guy, that seems pretty good. That's maybe a little bit less total scoring than what Barry was saying. Maybe it's kind of close because the receptions trade off for the touchdowns.
Barry knew. Get the Barry projections.
Yeah, Barry's pretty spot on. Let's do some investigating, and then we'll come back to this team and we'll check the poll and pop into another draft.
All right. It kind of looks like I was looking a little bit at his player profiler. I guess we'll look at it together right now.
Sure. So he did play every game, but I understand his role changed. We'll get into the game logs and look at his snaps. He's definitely not a down the field target kind of guy. More of a yak, more of a short, intermediate, it seems. The touchdowns, he's got 3 in his career across 31 games. So that's not the most inspiring for me, about 1 every 10 games. But his role's changed, so there's a lot of things that are up in the air. Let's look more at the game logs and see what we can take from that. So
I want to see. So Evan Ingram missed weeks 2 through 5.
okay.
And then he missed week 15 and on. So
Okay.
just so we kind of know that when we're looking at maybe snap rates and stuff too.
So let's look at these 4 weeks as kind of a prorate, like in prorate it to like, it's a small sample, but let's at least take these 4 weeks and then multiply it by 4. And that kind of gives us what we could be looking at, right?
Yeah.
I'll unhighlight it because it's just hard to read. So he's still playing. In that case, he's playing about 2/3 plus of the snaps, which would be, I think, a good amount. Or no, that's snap share. The routes, he's at about half or more of the routes, about half to 2/3 of the routes. Seems fine, but not like super aggressive. And I wonder how much they're running sets where the tight end's not running the routes and there's 3 receivers out there who are running the routes. Maybe that's kind of what maybe in the back of my head, I'm thinking of that too.
Right.
6, 5, 3, 4. So that's 7, 12, 18 targets over 4 games. So it's about 4 targets a game, 4 plus targets a game. He did get 3 red zone targets, so he's almost averaging a red zone target a game. I kind of like that. Receptions wise, he's only at averaging 3 receptions per game. I don't like that so much, but that gets us to his median projection being around 50, 55 or so, right? And then he did have 2 touchdowns, which goes right and hand in hand with the red zone targets. So those 2 touchdowns, I mean, that could be 8 touchdowns in a season, kind of like high end outcome. So now I'm starting to think maybe he's a red zone play, but then I think, okay, they brought in Travis Hunter, who's a red zone savant. Like he is a touchdown guy. Like he is the guy who's going to win one-on-one in the red zone. So that makes me think maybe Strange was getting used because of the lack of receiving options they had last year when Evan Ingram went down. It would have been Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis, right, who was complete garbage, Parker Washington, and who am I forgetting on the receiving core?
Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis, Parker Washington. Christian Kirk wasn't back, was he?
I don't know. Was Christian Kirk playing at that time?
I don't know. I know he missed a lot of the season. He might have came back late. And I don't really remember what his injury was.
I've never thought of Christian Kirk as a red zone touchdown guy.
Yeah, so Christian Kirk got injured week 8 and then he never came back.
Okay, so Christian Kirk was playing, but
yeah.
If do you have Christian Kirk's pulled up? How many red zone targets did he have in that span?
So it's between weeks 3 and 6. Is that what it was?
2 and 5. I was looking at.
Or 2 and 5. So between weeks 2 and 5, Kirk had 2 red zone targets. Yeah. He did have overall though. He had 29 targets in that 4-week stretch.
He was, and I know Brian Thomas was good all season, but I think he was like the veteran presence, the wide receiver 1 kind of early on. And then he's just not really a red zone guy. But I think I want to say Hunter is going to be much more of a red zone target than Christian Kirk was.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Now, like later in the season, Strange's target share looked a little better.
Yeah.
Like when Ingram got hurt, but that was also with Mac Jones mostly, I think.
And Kirk was already out.
Right. But I don't know if Kirk's role, like, will anyone really replace him? Will that be kind of Strange? Like as the very short yardage player? I like just in the middle of the field, right? When it's like 3rd and 3, who will be the target? Parker Washington, maybe.
Yeah,
but, he hasn't shown a ton. He is kind of that role, I guess. But maybe Strange kind of eats more in that, just short targets, kind of more of a compiler, get some decent volume.
Right. My worry is, and we'll look at the rest of the season kind of down at the bottom, but in these 4 games, Strange's ceiling was tight end 8 in PPR scoring with less than 10 points. So in half point PPR, it's still less than 10 points. That's with the touchdown. He only had 12 receiving yards on 5 targets. That's pretty bad. And then his highest scoring week in that segment was 12.5 points, which still wasn't really a top receiving score with only 24 yards. So I just don't. It seems like he maybe doesn't put it all together with the yards and the touchdowns, where like his ceiling is just very low. Even if he does score or hit, it's like he's still not gonna. He's not like he could hit your lineup, but he's not gonna win you above like replacement kind of scoring that often. If I scroll down a little bit, I kind of eat my words there because this week looks like a different type of ceiling for him in week 15, where he played 82% of the snaps, 70% of the routes about, 12 targets, one of them still in the red zone, didn't score, but the 11 receptions, 73 yards. Also, if I ever see 11 receptions and 73 yards, I kind of think that's bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not explosive as you would say.
I'd rather have
No.
3 receptions, 73 yards. Then I'm like, dang, where's the ceiling? Because if he goes from 3 to 6, is he gonna have a 100-yard reception game? I almost think there's not a single chance that he could ever have 100 yards receiving in a game.
Yeah, not without like crazy volume or like broken coverage or something. I guess just like where I would, yeah, like maybe the guys that go after him are a little better. I was kind of looking at the ADP quick, like because we also got to compare him to similar players, right?
Sure.
But like Zach Ertz, he plays in a lot higher scoring offense, but is he similar in that way? Like kinda, right? You expect more touchdowns because he plays with Jaden Daniels.
Let's look at that. Also, this is PPR
That's the guy
scoring.
we love, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. What was that? It's got to be
Well, because like Zach Ertz is like a guy I think a lot of us in the community really like,
yes.
or I think you also do too, right? You have a lot of Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
So like I think he might be a similar bet. It's just that you feel really good about Washington's offense. But if we're making these bets on Jacksonville's offense, maybe they're not Trevor Lawrence ain't Jaden Daniels, but maybe as a passer, if he steps up and we're making these bets, is it too different of a bet?
Interesting. We'll look into that too. So, last quick point on Strange. This is also PPR scoring. So if we take away 5.5 points, his ceiling was only like 13 points. So he probably was not the tight end 2 on that week in half point PPR. That's kind of inflated by the PPR 11 receptions. But I see some encouraging things. The red zone targets are somewhat encouraging, but then we like I said, we know Travis Hunter is going to be a big part of their scoring opportunities. You think Ertz is one we can take a quick look at and kind of, see what
Yeah,
we're
I
up
mean, I'm
against?
just curious if he'd be
Because Ertz
similar.
goes a whole round or 2 later.
Oh yeah, I guess I was just looking at the ADP. He's the next one.
Okay.
He's only 9 picks later in ADP. I mean,
Okay.
that late, I don't think that's too far of a jump. But
Let's just look at his game log for the season. I think quickly, he did play every game. Yeah, he did play every game. So a bigger sample size. Uh, he's just has more receiving yards more consistently. He has games with like a 3 red zone target game. Of course, he does nothing in that game, so it's not a great sign, but I'm seeing more red zone targets, more touchdowns, just a higher
oh yeah,
floor of
more
yardage.
well, but I mean more red zone targets, more touchdowns. He was a starter all year though, right? Well,
Right,
and like also Jacksonville's offense last year was pretty poor. We're
right.
we're taking these guys like Jacksonville is gonna be this elite offense. So like I do think the higher red zone targets, like maybe he is more of a weapon in the red zone, but that also is kind of inflated by maybe more scoring opportunities that we're projecting onto Jacksonville with the capital also.
So this was the playoffs, and the Philadelphia defense, at least their secondary, maybe there's some ways to exploit it, in some ways not, but this is 35-year-old Zach Ertz ceiling, 16 targets, 11 receptions, 100 yards, 21 PPR points. Like, that is what I'm looking for in week 17 that wins you money. With Strange, I'm worried it's half of that is his ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I can kind of see that. Like, yeah, the
Ertz,
multi-touchdown games.
Ertz has multi-touchdown games on his record. Not only last season he had one, but like we know he's done it in the past too. And then, I mean, Ertz has scored more touchdowns in 2 weeks than Strange. In 2 games, Ertz has 3 touchdowns. That's what Strange done in 31 games. But there's, he's the starter.
As a backup. Yeah. I mean, that's not. Travis Hunter has never scored a touchdown in the NFL. We took him in the fourth round.
Don't draft him.
Ashton Genty has never scored in the NFL. Why would you pick him? Like, I mean, like a young guy who could ascend on an offense we'd expect to ascend versus a guy another year older, right? They just go back to back, so I just wanted to kind of compare them. But like, I think Zach Ertz is a good pick. I was just maybe he's a similar guy where he's kind of more of like a reception merchant without the big play ability. Because even that 100-yard game, he had 11 catches in that game. Which, like, obviously a guy that can get 11 catches, that's good, but he's not going to be a big play guy really, right?
Probably not. It's also, it's a tight end. At the end of the day, it's touchdown dependent unless you're an elite guy like a Kittle or something. But that 2 touchdown game in week 17 also looks pretty nice. It is against Atlanta, but just the ability to have on record that you can score 2 touchdowns as a tight end, to me, feels really attractive.
I mean, it is kind of disgusting too that like I'm sitting here trying to defend a Jaguars player with T-Law thrown to him. Like I am not a fan of any of those guys. So like I'm more being like devil's advocate, but
no, I love it. This is exactly what we need to get to the bottom of. Let's look at Goddard, who maybe goes a pick or 2 or 3 ahead of him in terms of ADP. Like this, you think
Goddard's so efficient. Like he's a monster if he's healthy. I love Dallas Goedert. He's one of my highest owned tight ends.
I totally agree. I think he's actually very, very good. He's just never healthy, which is why I like to build him in more 3 tight end builds than 2 tight end builds. But he's also never been the most exciting touchdown guy. Just I don't know what that is about him, but he's definitely big play reception guy, can get a lot of volume in a game. Like 170 receiving yards in week 3. That's pretty rare for a tight end to be able to do that.
Oh yeah, and I mean, yeah, he's just always been very efficient. Just like I think with that offense around him, like they just have so many weapons on that team that it just opens up space for him to play. Right? They have one of the best receivers in the league, probably the best running back in the league, like a rushing threat quarterback, even one of the best wide receiver 2s in the league. It's like it just gives him so much room to work. If he stays healthy, he's definitely undervalued if he's healthy.
Yeah, I did look this up. So he's been in the league for what? That's 7 years. He's never played more than 15 games, and he's averaging about 12 or 13 games a season. So it's a little bit concerning, kind of why I lean back into the take him with a few other tight ends. But even if he's your first tight end you take 2 more, like I think that's a really solid upside. His per game upside is super high, and then he's also been like pretty good at just consistently scoring fantasy points.
And his injuries, aren't they like pretty random? Like I know one was like a broken forearm. I think that might have been his last one. These are by recency.
Right.
I guess he does have some like lower body just strains and stuff. I just remember the broken arm was one of the bigger ones, but he has a couple various ones that could be kind of repeatable.
Tight ends just get beat up with the blocking they have to do, being like a quarter or a half of a lineman, and then I think that's kind of why I sometimes want to lean more into 3 tight end builds, because of the injury risk, but then I also just convinced myself that the tight end scoring is the least important. So just take 2 and eat zeros sometimes if you have to, and you'll still potentially win.
Yeah, I tend to lean like more towards 3, but I think definitely 2 can work, especially if I feel pretty confident with like my first guy, even if they're not like an elite. If they're like a guy I feel pretty good about week to week target volume, I'm pretty okay with stopping at 2.
The crazy thing is, Bindles, and I agree with this, we've all been taking so much Juwan Johnson around 18. He's now around 17 pick, which is
Yeah.
still worth it, essentially. But let's see, did he go in round? It must have,
He
because we
went
passed
he
him in
went in
round
round
17.
7.
So yeah, he went in the middle of round 17 here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Bindles is in on Strange. I think I'm in on the like when it makes sense. We took Strange with T Law, but my whole reason for not liking him is because of like he's not anywhere near as good as Dallas Goedert, and then
Mhm.
he's also his ceiling is not Zach Ertz's ceiling, in my opinion, and so it's like it's hard. He's priced in a really weird spot. You could also argue that hey, this is about the range where ADP goes out the window anyways, so just take the correlated pick that makes sense in this team build, and I guess that's my only reason to click him.
Oh yeah, I think on the build we had, he totally made sense. Even if you don't like him, that's the time to click him. But I mean, like, I don't know. It is tough too with tight end. Like, tight end's a lot about opportunity, right? But yeah, like she said, Travis in the red zone is special. I
You're
agree.
you're just trying to keep the Travis Hunter ADP down the board so you can get more, aren't you?
I'm trying to keep the Travis Hunter ADP down for because I'm such a nice guy for other people. I
Okay.
don't. He. I don't know. I think the like I don't know. I hate for fun, but on him, but like I do think his price has maybe gotten a little out of hand with T Law supporting a first and fourth round receiver. I
It's
do
a good
think,
point.
like Travis Hunter might be really special and really great, but his snap shares might not be enough to really support that. Now, the 1 week thing with the best ball mania, I totally understand that. He can definitely give you the 1 week. That's the nuke. I just
That's
think
kind of where I
season
come back
long, he's going
around.
to be a rough pick advance wise.
Yes.
Um, I just feel like maybe the hype's gotten a little bit far to where the routes might not fully be there, and then T Law supporting him might not fully be there. Like if you look at BTJ is a Mac Jones merchant. Uh,
And
no,
super
BTJ
efficient.
is great.
What, like
But
81 something receptions? Like he got a ton accomplished with not needing Malik Neighbors' numbers of targets and receptions to do it.
yeah, but if you look at BTJ though, like he really took off as soon as T Law got hurt. Like, right? I mean, that's pretty much
That's what I
right, I
remember.
think,
Yeah, I
right?
haven't looked
Yeah,
hard into it recently, but that's what I remember.
yeah,
Some good
yeah. I
points.
mean, I don't know. I'm just not a big T Law guy, but maybe Cohen gets him right. Baker had some bad years till Cohen showed up.
Yeah. Was talking on offense, Hartman. Come on, dude.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I just think of the
He
corner.
is a receiver. Forgot for a minute there.
Yeah, my bad.
Wait, is this an IDP league? Why did we take Hunter in the whatever fourth round?
Fourth round. Yeah,
What up, Jim? How we doing? We're just touchdown hunting with most of the late round tight ends, and yeah, I think that's what it
yeah.
comes down to. I think it is. That's the only reason I would ever click him. If this was like a marathon or my home league for redraft, you can bet I would never click Britton Strange.
Oh yeah, and if we didn't have a Jags thing, like I definitely wouldn't have floated him there. Like, let's say if he came all the way back and like Ertz was gone, I'd be like, all right, yeah, sure, but without T Law, the Jag stuff, I would have never like even floated him where we got him. So it's
Yeah.
just the correlation. That's I don't know. Even if you don't like a guy, when it correlates, that's the time to get your little bit of exposure, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's the only reason I ever drafted certain players in Best Ball Mania the last 2 seasons was either as a bring back or correlated piece. And so I think it gets you to some areas that you might not naturally go with your own, or like for me, I might not go certain directions with my own biases and like grooves that I've kind of worked myself into with player picks and takes, but I will override those with the correlation and the bringbacks. And so I like that about it because it gets you to do something different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely the same way, especially at lower cost points. Like sometimes early guys, I don't know. I'm taking some stands this year. They're probably going to be kind of scary, but we'll at lower cost, I'm not really willing to pass on a guy if he's correlated or stacked. Like even if I don't like him, like I'll mix him in here and there, you know.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Do you want to do a quick team review on this one? You kind of want to give me your thoughts on this team? We'll go through it.
Yeah, sure. All right. So at QB, we got Dak and T Law. Feels pretty good stopping at 2. If a third would have fallen into place, would have been okay, but stopping at 2, that's fine. Running back, we started a little late, but we got James Conner, Quinshawn, Brian Robinson, Cam Scatteroo, Jaden Blue, Jarquez Hunter. I really love getting an RB room like this. Like, it feels like we have 3 guys who we think will be the main starter, maybe 4 with Scatteroo, and we have a bunch of big upside swings with Quinshawn, Scatteroo, Jaden Blue, Jarquez Hunter. So, like, I think a running back room like that is like pretty much perfect, especially with how we started at receiver.
Who do you think is when it matters? Who do you think's the running back for the Giants getting the most work?
You're saying when it matters, like they need to win a game, or
I guess
like,
like
or
you're on the
when it
goal
matters, like
line,
late
or you're on the
season.
goal line, or you need to win a game, or it's the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter.
I kind of feel like 2-minute warning would be like a Tyrone Tracy script because he gives more of that speed and electricity. But
Ooh.
I feel like goal line and short yardage red zone work would be more of a Cam Scatteroo script.
You don't have to be fast if no one can tackle you.
Yeah, no, that is true. I didn't. I should have realized you were trying to set that up. That's my bad. But
I was just setting my little trap. I didn't know how I was gonna spring it on you, but I tried to get you there eventually. You've fallen into it. This is like the 3rd time I've done that to you. The same
yeah,
clip.
yeah, you're like, I think it was like, who did we pick? And it's like Cam Scatteroo, and then you just started. Yeah,
Who?
yeah,
And you're like, Cam Scatteroo?
yeah,
Hit the clip. Had to do it to
that's
him.
a good bit.
Bindles, I don't know if you'd seen, he shared a clip with me he made. It's pretty wild. I put it on stream last night for the first time, but if we draft a certain other rookie, I've got one brand new clip that it's pretty wild, but I might get, not that I'm monetized or anything, but I might just get my videos taken down if someone catches on that we're playing a certain song, but I think he remixed it in the right way. I don't want to give all the sauce away.
I did because like obviously mine aren't monetized either. Like I did like some clips just with the regular music.
I saw
It
yours.
just like limited the viewership in like Russia. It didn't like strike me or anything like that. It just said your video
Really?
can't be played in Russia. I'm like, all right, cool. Like,
And had you played them before today, or was today your reveal of the clips?
no, I played the one like a week ago, and it gave me like the thing immediately. It was like, oh, UMG claims whatever song.
Okay,
But
yeah.
it just said you can't be played in Russia, but it didn't give me a strike or anything. It said
Okay,
just
that's
your
good to know.
viewership's limited. So,
That's good to know. I'm still like trying to figure that out. I intentionally put the no copyright music on mine, but I just don't know right from wrong, so I kind of play it safe. But
yeah. All right.
we'll get more to that later. But yeah, so this team's kind of nicely stacked up, right?
Oh yeah. So I think the running back room felt really good, And then at receiver, we had CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Travis Hunter, Pickens, Alec Pierce, Jalen Coker. And then Lamb and Pickens with Dak, Travis Hunter with T Law. And then we got bringbacks on both with Terry and Pierce. I think our receivers feel very strong. And then at tight end, Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, Tyler Conklin. I think that feels perfectly fine. We do have the double week 12. Brenton Strange will show out that week, I'm sure. We feel pretty confident about him.
Yeah, we just got to make sure someone or two or three people get injured on the Jacksonville offense that's not Travis Hunter that week, and then he'll finally get the opportunity he needs to have one red zone target.
Yeah, there we go.
This
But
is a
no,
fun
I
one.
mean,
This-
I think the team
yeah.
came together really well. Or you go ahead.
The upside at the running back position is exactly what we need for going so late and not getting like a true elite running back. But I think James Conner holds it down. And like you said about Quinshawn and B-Rob, we feel good about those opportunities too. So then it's like, which one of these three guys can surprise? And I think there's a good shot one of them does, if not more. But at least one, I think, could have a fantasy relevant role and like hit our flex a few times.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I mean, I think Blue, Scattaboo, Quinshawn, they all have a good shot to take over their backfields. Um,
Definitely.
yeah. Jarquez, he might just more mix in, but he's big injury upside.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So the poll, out of 8 votes, a whopping 8 votes, most people, 6 of them wanted to do a best ball mania. I think I'm down for another best ball mania. I just want to check to see how close the sprint is. If it's nowhere near filling, I'll definitely get back into best ball mania. But if this sprint is within like 2 or 3 spots, I feel pretty good that we could fill one, and it's just something a little different, which I wouldn't mind doing. So I am gonna just take a look at the sprint, but I'm also open to getting back into a best ball mania. Also, I haven't
Yeah,
done my Greyhound
WNBA.
yet. Did you do your Greyhound?
No, not yet.
I'm just
I'll
waiting.
probably do it this week. Yeah, I'm waiting a little bit too.
I don't know what I'm waiting for, but I'll do it. I'll do it soon. Let's just peek at the 30-second. Oh, there's no 20-second for this. I didn't even realize that.
No, this and the marathon, they like combine the lobbies. Probably because they wouldn't
That's
fill.
that's smart. There's no way they would ever fill because I mean these are going to overlay, don't you think? Or you think they'll snap
Yeah.
fill at the end with people trying to chase the overlay?
I think Underdog, like they kind of showed it maybe last week. I wonder if they'll get crazy with the promos on these, like near
Yeah,
the end, like a DK type thing. But I
yeah,
think Sprint especially will overlay because you look at the fill, it's like horrible compared to any other contest.
yeah. I've never
Very
seen an
poor.
underdog contest open for a whole month already. Are we at a month? It's been open
Yeah.
and it's at
Yeah, I
six
think so,
percent,
right?
and it's only 55K. It's tiny compared to the puppy. I think it's the price point is pretty. I think. I mean, this is just being super critical because they do a lot of like really good work with these tournaments, and I think there's a lot of variables that go into it. But I think the $20 price point is their problem. If this was a $5 or even $10 tournament, I bet you it would fill a lot faster.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like maybe this is one in the future they should look at doing like a little sprint and a big sprint. I think they
Yeah,
maybe did that last year, but the big one was like a really big contest like that. Um, but maybe like a 5 or a 10 and then like 100 or something like that with a very small price or a very small group.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave this one. There's 8 to fill, and yeah, they're gonna have problems filling that one. It's definitely gonna overlay. So I'll work on getting some volume into that at some point. I'm not gonna go too hard on it.
I think
And then
Marathon too has a chance to overlay.
yeah, I also think the price point on this one's a little bit prohibitive, and that 75,000 is not a ton to fill up. But if this was $5 or $10, it would be feeling a lot better. I don't know why I'm not sure why they did that exactly. I feel like the $20 and the $15 eats into some of the bankroll that people are considering putting towards like a best ball mania. And if you have to make the decision, you're going to go with the best ball mania, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I do think 15 maybe feels like a little different price point. I
Yeah.
also feel like like at least to me, if I'm doing the marathon, I'm going to a different website. I'm going to Drafters to do the marathon. I'm not doing it on UD. I'm doing
Right.
regular contest here.
What
Yeah.
is the entry for a draft? Is it $10 entry for drafters?
I think it's is it 20? I've done a couple. I
It
can't
might be.
remember.
I
I
think it
haven't
is
done
20
one.
actually. I haven't done drafters, but I just know of it through
Yeah,
y'all.
it's 20, but like the prize structure, like there's way more in prizes than this one. Which
How
it's
many
a
entrants?
bigger contest. So that one is 143,000 or 140,000,
That's what I
but
thought.
like
Yeah.
but it's like 500, 200, 100K for the top 3. So third place is the same as first place in this.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if they're trying to use this to compete with that directly or if this is just a different offering, but I don't know any better, but I feel like this is there needs to be something tweaked to this to make it more attractive for drafters. Same thing with the marathon or it's the sprint. Maybe it's the price point, maybe it's the they get people love the puppies. Maybe they just need to do puppy versions of the marathon and the sprint where it's a ton of entrants, but like a really easy entry point, and that's how they compensate for the to get to a bigger payout and still have it fill.
Yeah, that would probably be the best way. And I think the other thing with marathon too, it's kind of like it's obviously a way bigger field, but BBM is like buy BBM get a marathon free, with the regular
Yeah.
season prizes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a similar prize structure I think to the marathon. But obviously like, like 8 times as many contestants or whatever.
True. What up, Kriyoth? How you doing? How's your Saturday going? What are you drafting tonight? And then, yeah, I think it's interesting. I would have thought they would have spent a little bit more draft capital taking someone, but that might just mean they're confident in Eckler. I don't know that I've seen their same commitment to B Rob, so I'm really heavily into to Eckler. Do a WNBA. You know, when I said that on yesterday, I was obviously joking, but I had no idea you did like 40 NBA drafts yesterday.
Huh? Oh, no, I did 15 I think
Okay,
WNBA
sorry,
drafts.
my bad.
Yeah.
Still
But
15. That's some
but
volume.
that's $70 in entries or $75 in entries. I won 220. So we
Did
up.
you? Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
you're onto it. So you're not crazy. You're just a degenerate.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm up overall in the WNBA, like
Nice.
by a good amount. But yeah, it was just funny when you mentioned it. Like I got rankings right now. I should rip it.
Bros want cheap volume drafts. That price point isn't for casuals.
Yeah,
Our bro, our
marathon.
bro, yeah, are bros casuals though? I feel like that
Ooh,
kind of contradicts itself, but I think I get what you're saying. But yeah, man, if you're in the green for those WNBAs, like you obviously figured something out, and who knows with those? I definitely don't know, but that's just funny because I thought I was trying to pull a fast one on you doing WNBA, and you're like, actually, I will. I'll do two multi-table, and then you profit on them. So shout out to you. You're a multi-sport drathlete.
yeah, yeah, yeah. NFL and WNBA. Only
That,
those two.
I haven't come across another of that combination. That might be your niche. You could be the notorious WNBA NFL guy.
That's not a bad idea. Start doing WNBA streams. That'd
You
be
would
that'd be
have
the end.
you would have a viewer. It'd be me. I'd be trying to figure out what's going on.
I have the market cornered.
Yeah. Um. I'm gonna look
Alright.
at my phone at something real quick. I don't want to pull it up on stream because I haven't looked at it since today. But the scramble is in the finals, and there's like 7 weeks left or so. And so this is the first week, and I've got two teams in the scrambles finals, and they were looking pretty good, but there's like players getting cut and everything else. Yeah, I'm doing all right. There's 7 weeks left, and I've got a team in 40th and a team in 99th out of I think like I want to say there's like 350 left people or something. Uh yeah, out of like 261. So I'm looking to make a push, and I stacked my golf lineups in ways that would finish strong. So the tournament this weekend is not like a major one, and there's a cut to it. And but anyways, I've got the golf going on right now. I've got 2 teams left in the scrambles final, so I'm hoping to do something big with that. It's already, if you min cash, it's 500 per team or maybe 250, but I'm pretty confident I'll have one of my 2 teams that'll pay for all my entries. Like already, I'm kind of in that range, and but anyways, the golf's
That's
going on,
awesome.
so I'm pretty excited about that too.
So is the final for that this weekend, or is that next weekend?
So the final, it's 7 weeks long of golf tournaments, and it ends
Oh,
on the Open, which is across the pond, as they say. This year, it's at a place called Royal Portrush, and then the week before, so this week is the Canadian Open in Toronto, and then there's tournaments for the next 5 weeks, and then the Open is the last major of the season. And so the Scramble will finish on the Open, and the Albatross, which is the majors only, will finish on the Open. So, but the Albatross majors only one, there's one more major. It's the U.S. Open, and that's going to be in a few weeks. And so I've got 2 teams remaining in that, which is technically the semifinal, and it's a one out of, I think it's a 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 5 advance.
Yeah.
To the final.
I also have 2 in the
Albatross. Nice. Who's your top golfer? Do you have like who is your guy that's got you through?
So I have so one I have Scheffler and Fleetwood at the top.
That's nice.
And one I have John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau at the top.
I like both of those. Both of my 2 remaining teams have Bryson DeChambeau on them, and then I've got just other pieces, but looking pretty decent. I mean, I'll be upset if I don't get one to the finals, but I'm hoping I do.
Yeah, I don't know hardly anything about golf, but I did check. I know all my guys on both teams are at least playing in the next tournament. So at least I got that going. Hopefully they do well, but we'll see.
That's step 1. Yeah, I don't think I've got any dead roster spots, but yeah, it's been an interesting golf season so far. Let's get right back into their Best Ball Mania 30-second. I'm going to join it in a few seconds. We'll catch up with the chat first, give everyone a sec. And Steve dropped in. I don't know if I already said. Wait, I thought we did. Yeah, Steve, what's going on? What up, Steve? The chat actually moved pretty quick past that. Hope you're having a good night, Steve. And then, James is ready for Best Ball Mania. Okay, we've got it queued up. 30 seconds. We're going to be jumping in. I do like the fact that there's not the pod luck, so I think that's kind of what's attractive as well, Nick. I would agree. Yep. Nick's in a marathon. We tried to fill a sprint. I don't think it's going to happen, and I think it will just go to another Best Ball Mania. We're feeling pretty good about how this week I've done like 12 or so Best Ball Manias in this week alone, and I feel like most of them are kind of nice, but I still haven't hit that 99th percentile outcome team yet, and so I'm kind of hunting it this week, and I think a bunch of really solid B+, A- type of range teams, if I keep hitting that frequency, one of them is going to pop off and be like, wow, this team is something. I think last week I had one team that was close to that, and I forget who I drafted it with, but we had like our first 4 receivers were all like stacked, correlated, and it was just like looked really good, and the running backs were pretty good too. I have to dig back for that one.
Yeah, I got a few I feel pretty good with overall, but yeah, most of the time you just feel okay and hope that's kind of the stack that works.
Yep. Yeah, Chris, I would agree. I think I don't dabble too hard into other formats. I'm very focused on Best Ball Mania, the puppy formats, the time box contest. I do like the Eliminator as kind of like my venture off of this format, but the Eliminator is going to be like the most negative EV tournament you could enter. Like by week 2, you're going to have, if you maxed it, you'd have 75 teams remaining in week 2. If you're lucky, you'll have like 80 or 90. And then the very next week, you're going to get cut down again. So like, to me, the Eliminator is probably not a good contest for bankroll management, but it is a fun one if you like
Yeah,
to lose fast.
I 100% agree with that. Where it's like that has to be one of the worst EV ones out of them all. But man, it's like so much fun. Just the head v head idea, like the
Yeah.
1v1, sounds so much
Yeah.
fun.
It might be worth it just for the lulls and the fun, but it's gonna be tough to make any money back in that. Hey, what up, Steph? How you doing tonight? I was enjoying you on After Dark with Pete. Great show, always fun to hear a little bit more about you, about some of the people in the best ball community. So I thought that was cool, getting some more kind of behind the scenes, some late night just conversations around best ball, football, and life in general. Good stuff. Always glad to see you in the chat. Hope your drafts are going well this week. And yes, yep, with the golf. Yeah, I'm already sweating for the golf. But my scrambles are looking better. My scrambles did bad last year. I didn't have any finals in the scramble last year, but I got 5th in the albatross last year, which was nice. And that covered all my golf and all my football and a little bit of my golf and football this season. And then, but I'm like, I had 3 teams in the finals for the albatross last year. I'm hoping I get one. I don't know. Maybe my teams are similar enough. I can get 2 through, but I'm just hoping to get 1 through to the finals for the albatross. But the fact that I've got 2 in the scramble that are in it makes me excited because I wasn't in the scramble finals last year. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The Eliminator. It's in 12 months, we're going to be like, or 8 months, we're going to be like, dang, remember when we all entered the Eliminator and every single one of us was gone by week 5? That sucked.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. That was a good After Dark. It's always good, always great guests, and super fun to have one of us from the streets doing it. Steph, long time drafter in the streets. You know her, you love her. You guys see her putting out weekly content during the season, jumping in with ship chasing and all the fun stuff. Always good to get thoughts from Steph. Very sharp drafter. Good Googly says, yeah, I wish you could grade some of my teams. You might have to get in the Discords for that. You might have to get in the Discords, the right Discords, to figure that part out. All right. Let's jump into this best ball mania. If y'all are ready, I'm going to type it in the chat. You'll see it there first when I hit enter. And that's pretty much it. So it's a 30-second best ball mania if you're just listening, and I've entered it. That was it. I tried waiting on 11.
Oh man.
So y'all can get in, but some of y'all might have just got in one that closed. Sorry if you were in the one kind of waiting for it and I kind of teased it for too long. But that's just the way it goes. That's not much you can do about that.
I'll be back in 1 second. I'm gonna turn on my light and grab water quick.
Perfect. Yeah, what have you guys been drafting this week? I think we're at that part of the season again. Yes, there's some practices going on, training camp. There's been not too much change. I guess you could say the Aaron Rodgers news is probably the biggest thing. The Lions center retiring was somewhat of a news item. We learned Amon-Ra had the knee surgery. Nothing crazy going on. So this might be one of those small lulls in the drafting season. Are you holding on to your bullets? Are you drafting hard right now? Are you just getting them in whenever you can? Are you doing a bunch of slow drafts? You know, if you have vacation coming up and you're not going to be able to do fast drafts because you leave the state or something, or just doing slows to kind of fit them in. What are your guys' drafting strategies for this time of the year? We're in early June, July, August. We've got 3 months to go. So I think the NFL season starts in like 90 days or 91 days, somewhere around there. Plenty of time left. A lot of things going to change. A lot of running back situations going to who's the RB2, who's the RB3 in a backfield, those kind of things. Maybe we'll get some more clarity on. Oh, damn, my bad. My bad, David. I tried. On the clock. What's up, brother? Yeah, we did learn about the Ant Richardson shoulder, so pour one out for him. But I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back at some point. I was kind of in the same thought process that Hartman was saying, though, where I just didn't even know if Richardson could win the job outright, fully healthy with Daniel Jones. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe keeping a light on for Richardson, but I haven't been drafting a whole lot lately. We'll see. Oh wait, that's a Twitter comment too. Let me. That's so fun. Make sure if you're watching on Twitter, come into YouTube. Come jump in here. Come get in. Let me do the little thing where I tweet this out. That works. That works. All right, sweet. Still waiting on 2 more. Yeah, exactly. Got to get in the Discords. Got to be in the right Discords. Nice. Got your Greyhound in. Hartman and I were saying earlier, we still have our Greyhounds. I thought I might have done it tonight. Every day, I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not in a super big rush to do it, but I obviously am going to enter the Greyhound. So be excited to hopefully get. I mean, I can draft from anywhere on the board, so I don't really care that much. I will say through like 42 best ball manias, I've gotten one draft from the one spot.
Really?
I've gotten one Jamar Chase team out of like 42 or something. And every single time it's Steve in the top 3. So I'm very jealous. I don't know how he does that. And in the 12 spot, but I'm, like I said, I'm kind of like Bane. It's like I was born in the darkness. I was born in the 12 spot.
I think the 12 spot's actually pretty nice this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the end of the board more than the front, actually.
I'm going to have 50% Brian Thomas or Monroe when this thing's said and done, because I'm just going to be in the 12 spot every single draft.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is, you'd obviously want it spread around so you get different exposures, but I don't know. Like, I feel like all my chase teams, like some of them feel fine, some of them don't, but I just feel like you get the bad end of a lot of positional runs at the one spot. And like kind of just being on the corner, the guy in front of you can kind of like really hurt you on the corner. They can be like, oh, there's one good running back left and like 3 good receivers. I'll take the running back. I'll take this. Like, it just feels like sometimes they can lock you down so bad, especially if it's a sharp drafter. Like, it feels like they can just lock you down like horrible.
That's a good point too. You do get locked down a little bit from the one spot, and it feels like the teams in the one spot don't look very unique through like the first like 4 or 5 rounds. They look like pretty similar. They look like very similar teams.
Yeah, like get your one Arizona guy guaranteed at least. If T. Higgins is there, grab him too. But yeah, it's like they do end up, because I think on that turn, the receivers they get in the second round, especially if T's gone, it feels like they have to take the first guy in that tier, at least to
Yeah.
me. And then usually they can get a good running back, but it seems like a lot of times they'll favor like McBride or maybe Harrison.
Yep.
So it just, yeah, it kind of takes away a little of the uniqueness. And then it kind of takes away a little bit of like, you're taking the first guy in the next tier almost. I actually like the middle or like late pick the most usually.
I've kind of like the middle. I like being in the top 5, but I don't mind like 3 through 5 or 3 through 6. Kind of like Jim was saying, 4 through 7 feels best right now. I think that can definitely be true. Good googly. Appreciate you being here. What are you drafting tonight? What are you getting after? Yeah, Steve in the multi-table. That's like his Twitter bio. It's like multi-tabling and slow drafting at all times.
Yeah. Slow drafts,
Big
I can't do it.
King, what's up, brother? How you doing? Thanks for stopping in. Are you drafting tonight? What do you got going on? Hope everyone out there's having a great Saturday night. Nice, relaxing weekend. Getting some drafts in, chilling, beating the heat somehow. It's getting hot out there. Best ball summer is heating up. I mean, obviously, it's a Nico Genti team.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'm going
I
to
mean
take
that
Nico, and then I'm going to refresh and see. I don't even know what my Nico combos are right now because I don't have as much Nico as I'd actually like. I mean, I've gotten 5 teams, but you know me, always wanting to get more Nico, and so I don't have a Genti one. I feel like this is a pretty fun combo.
Okay, yeah, let's definitely do it then. I was gonna say, but yeah, let's get Genty. That feels totally
Who else
fine.
are you thinking? McConkey?
I was gonna say pull up Lad, yeah, for the combo. You might already have that though, especially if you don't have a Nico Genty.
Only
Yeah.
1 out of 5 though, but maybe the frequency of 1 out of like every 5th Nico team goes with Lad. Maybe that's about right, but then you'd end up with two or three of those out of 150.
Well, and it feels like too when you get a little bit of a faller like Genty, you want to take that when you can because that's always going to be more unique. A lot of
I
people
think
probably
so.
have that idea of Nico with Lad, right? So a faller will make you more unique.
You merely adopted the 12 spot. I was born in the 12 spot. I will say the best placement I ever had in the finals was in a Poodle. I got 7th, and it was from the 12 spot with a CeeDee Lamb, a Mon-Ra start back in 2023. I've mentioned that a bunch of times, but I'm very fond of drafting. Maybe it was the 11 spot. Let's just say it was the 12 spot for the emphasis of the point, but it was something like that. If y'all remember that those finals that year. Ooh, yeah, that's interesting. So it's pretty top heavy then.
Yeah. See, the only thing is though, every team I draft is just the shipper when I draft it. So it's fine. It doesn't really matter about that, you know. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. You should get like Hartman and just all I do is win.
Yeah, until like week 3 or so. But right now, they're all the shippers. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
feels feels
until
good.
week 3 and it's like, "Oh, a hamstring injury, out for 6 games. Yikes. I got 30% that guy."
Yeah. Yeah. Man, Nico, man.
That was
Nico's
it.
healthy though. He's
If
healthy.
Nico's healthy though, guys, if
Yeah.
Nico's healthy, guys, would have been a
I
great
mean,
season.
Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, which one you want? I mean, for real though, actually. He, he's really like that upside wise. They all are though.
I
All
need to
those
get
first
some
round
more. I need to
guys.
get some more. So, Steph, you got from the 9 spot. How did your team turn out? Give us a quick overview of how that team went. I'm very curious to know. I'm hopeful that, yeah, if I draft my Greyhound, I just get a nice roll of the dice. And I don't necessarily want any pick over another, but I want it to be in a range where I'm excited about the way the draft can go. I guess, like, you get catch a faller. Like, if I would have had a CeeDee Lamb, Brock Bowers in my Greyhound, I would like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a pretty nice start. I someone mentioned it earlier to me, but like I've kind of noticed it too. It seems like the elite tight ends might be falling a little. Obviously, McBride goes at 21, but it seems like a little maybe people I feel like some people are just all the way out on the idea of elite tight end. So maybe if you just get a little run like that, I
Hmm.
don't know if you have any thoughts maybe why they're falling a little, or maybe you don't feel like that. I don't know.
I think that Brock Bowers going in the range of like 17 to 18, 19 would be a little bit more like a little bit better for me just because I don't want to miss out on like McConkey.
Hmm.
Um, for McBride, I do kind of prefer him in the beginning of the 3rd round. Like if I had my way, that's just where I would prefer to get him. And then I think Kittle is still super undervalued, and every time I pass on Kittle, I regret it. Ever since that one time I let Kittle fall to you at like pick 59, I have nightmares.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like it's just on this side you don't get Kittle a lot. So you want to do like an elite QB or Brees? You have a strong lean?
I'm thinking that we've been doing pretty good at the later QBs. Maybe just try for that.
All right. I'm cool. I'd want to get Brees here the
Yeah,
most.
Brees first.
And then I'm fine with JMO. That's fine with me. Um, are
Is
there
is this the
I guess
worthy
the
team?
receivers kind of got snapped, right? So JMO's cool with me. I'm fine with DK also. I'm really not a worthy guy, but
I mean, I've only got one worthy team. I've got four, and then somehow I have one JMO team. I think I took one last night, and like I said, my exposures aren't updated through the three best ball manias I did last night on stream. But I like Jameson. I'm happy to take him there. It gives
yeah.
us one more QB out. That's a
Yeah, and
similar
oh sorry, go
spot
ahead.
to obviously yeah, totally.
Sorry about that. Uh
No. Go ahead.
I was just like Jameson there feels perfectly fine. Like just the spike weeks he can provide. I mean, and like you said, another QB out. He's really easy to get game stacks. Wow, see that's a ball no one pick right there. That's how you know that guy knows ball because George Pickens, he should be an early fourth round pick, but ADP's been kind enough that he's not.
Right.
That's how you know someone knows ball. No,
It's a
I've seen
sharp
that.
room.
Oh, good. I've seen that once before where he went at 39, but I mean,
It
it's
happens.
probably too much projection given up, like ADP given up, and BBM where you might do 150, but it is like I mean, I'm all in on George Pickens, so I don't even hate it, but might be a little bit too much ADP value given up.
Nice. Yes, we'll see you in the streets, James. Yeah, the ADP value. I think it's a toss up because I mean, look how far those elite QBs went. Like no one took Josh Allen until 41. Gerardo gets him, but the wide receivers that go in round 4 and 5, to me, it's not super different. I don't know. We'll see, but I I'm not afraid to pull JMO up there. I think Pickens there. It's like take your guy, take who you want. Make sure you got maybe some even exposures or a little bit more of the guys you really believe in. Steve in the one spot gets the
Lucky.
double Bengals receiver start. We got, of course, James Young, the Sentry, who's gonna be running a few eliminators after this, but he's in this one too, so that kind of threw me off. He's in the 3 spot. David in the 4. Apparently, he's double tabling because I accidentally made him enter the first draft before this one. Did you see that?
Same, but
You saw it was plus 11, right?
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Steve and Latumsky are both in that one and this one. Who knows? Uh, Hockey Hooligan. I feel like I've seen that name, but I'm not sure if you're here. What up if you are? Gerardo, of course, in the 8. JGFC. We are very aware of him in these streets in the 10 spot. Team Money. I feel like I know that name too. And then we're in the 12. So pretty sharp draft room. We're going to have to figure out where to go on these turn picks so that we don't miss out on a lot of the kind of tier breaks, which is kind of the struggle of, like you said, drafting from either the 1 spot or the 12 spot. But I like you were saying earlier, it seems like the tiers are a little bit more favorable on the 12 spot, and then there's like a little bit harsher breaks back on the 1 spot, the left side of the board.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, especially, I mean, Steve got Bucky, so that worked out pretty good. He got T and Bucky, so it worked out pretty good. It
Yeah.
just feels like sometimes, like, especially at receiver in that spot, or especially at running back. Now, I will say, like, so far for Steve, it worked out pretty good with the tier breaks. 10 hours of poker today.
That's
Wow,
incredible.
going hard.
Yeah, you got to eat a nice big meal after that, get some rest. The brain's been hard at work.
So yeah, I kind of noticed that like they're taking a lot of receivers, it seems like, which I guess is kind of normal for a sharper room. Uh we'll see what this guy does.
There's a very
Um,
obvious pick in my mind. I hope we can get him. I,
yeah, the receiver Addison. Yeah, okay, yeah.
yeah, I was
With
pretty
JMO,
excited about
right?
Kamara too, but what do you think next then?
Yeah, I kind of want Kamara. I think maybe we double up on receiver. Um, I would be okay with Trevion. Definitely Addison first.
Yep.
Um, and then I'd be okay with either Trevion, Olave, or like maybe you're lower on him. I'm a pretty big Rome guy, but Trevion Olave is also fine to me.
So I
Um,
don't have a Rome pick yet. It'd be hard for me to take him over Olave or even Jennings or Trevion or even James
okay,
Conner, but I get like the positional difference of a wide receiver. I feel like in that case, I'm way more in on Olave and maybe
okay, yeah.
maybe Jennings too, or do we do a Godwin thing? I think it's just Olave here.
Yeah, Olave, we can get Jennings if you want. Um, okay, yeah. I lean pretty heavily to Olave
Yeah,
over him. Just like I think Olave's like pretty underpriced for his historical metrics. And yeah, the offense might not be as good. They don't have Derek Carr anymore, who is a little underrated as a quarterback, but Olave's yards per route run, his target volume has always been like crazy. So I think he's pretty underpriced in general.
yeah. I think we've talked a lot about Olave that it's people worried about injuries or people worried about a QB situation. He's a very very talented receiver. I want to bet on talent.
Well, and his injuries shouldn't be anything that affects him when he's on the field. His concussions, like that is scary, and one concussion can end his season for sure. But that's not anything like a lower body limb injury that like you're worried about his actual performance. If he's healthy, he should be just as good as ever. It just is maybe a little more risk, but you got to take some of that risk. And when you're getting him in the 6th round, even if he does get injured, it doesn't totally kill your team. We have 3 solid receivers ahead
Yeah,
of him.
yeah. And then I will say about Addison in this format where week 17 is all that matters. Bro, weeks have you heard this yet? Week 17 is all that matters. He's not going to be suspended in week 17.
Right.
And he can he's one of these rare guys, also super talented. Even though he's the wide receiver 2 on his own team, he can be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy points in a given week. Like he just has that ceiling, which I think is like to me why I can't quit drafting Jordan Addison, even with the looming suspension, even when there's a guy that maybe is the wide receiver 1 on his team still available. I guess they're kind of thinned out by this range, but or maybe it's more ambiguous. Like, does Rome really become the wide receiver 1? Is Juwan Jennings now the wide receiver 1 on that situation? Is Chris Godwin healthy, the wide receiver 1 on his team, or is that more ambiguous? I think it's like it's the end. It's just past the range of like the Cortland Suttons and the Calvin Ridleys, and who are like really the top target option.
Yeah, and like
Besides
I
Olave,
agree.
Olave, right?
Oh yeah, Olave is definitely the number one. Like Shaheed gives big play ability and stuff, but Olave is clearly the number one target earner on that team. And Addison, I completely agree. Like he gives mega spike weeks. Like with anyone in the league, maybe other than Jamar Chase. Like Addison can spike like anyone, and maybe he can even spike like that. We've only seen 2 seasons of him, really,
Sure.
right? So like, but he can give spikes like almost anyone in the entire league. And when you're playing in a format like this where only a couple weeks really matter, like he's so valuable in that. And his schedule is really great too. A lot of dome games. I think to me, Kevin O'Connell also is probably like in my opinion, I would probably have him number one as like a play caller, get his guys open, scheme them touches. I would argue he's the number one play caller in the whole NFL, or at least competitive for that. There's a couple of really good play callers, obviously, but
No,
he's right there with any of them. Oh, go ahead.
I think great play caller. Definitely proving that out. What he could do with Sam Darnold last year, very impressive.
Mhm. And then
Probably
the
the reason I'm
Pasternak.
the pastronaut. 2 years in a row he's done it. So Probably the reason I feel really confident with JJ McCarthy as a easy click at his ADP is because, I mean, hey, he national champion, of course, didn't have a ton of passing volume to win that game, but maybe the Kevin O'Connell system can elevate, passers, elevate offenses, and McCarthy's good enough and he's young enough and he can, still do some things with his legs if his knees aren't in a bad spot.
Right, and his
I
injury wasn't that terrible.
I was kind of hoping Myers fell to us. That would have been a nice little pickup, a little faller.
Hmm.
Hawkinson's there. Is that a fun way to play it?
I think Hawkinson's definitely a good pick there. And then I would probably lean Mooney as a receiver,
Yeah.
unless you want like Pollard at running back. I'd probably lean Mooney if we're going receiver, Pollard if we're going running back.
I think I would like to get another receiver before we hit
That
round
feels good.
um
Before the cliff.
before we hit round 9 and feel like we need to take a QB sooner than later.
Yeah, I like that call. And I think in this room, kind of a sharper room, I think they're taking a good amount of receivers, so it feels good to not get behind at that. We feel pretty good with our receiver room now.
Plus Mooney is just him and Michael Penix Jr. is also him, and that connection, I think that could be one of the most fun quarterback to receiver highlights on a weekly basis that we get in 2025. I like London just fine too, but I think Mooney's price right here at 85 after his bounce back year last year, it's like, oof, this if Michael Penix Jr. is who I think he is, this could be a really nice value on a good receiver.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like Mooney's shown he's the pretty clear wide receiver too in that offense. Like you don't have to worry about like Ray will get some targets and stuff, but Pitts is looking, less and less important. And I'm with you on Penix. Like I really believe in Penix as a passer. Like I think he's a really talented passer. I think he'll elevate his weapons. Yeah, you kind of
Yeah.
see it with how his college receivers have done in the NFL so far. They're not looking so hot, right? So Penix is looking
Yep.
maybe more like an elevator.
That's kind of my case against Odunze as well. We already saw Polk fall flat. McMillan
Mm.
had the advantage of Godwin going down, I guess, to get him some more targets, but still had a nice touchdown run. And I always like McMillan kind of at cost, the best out of those three.
Well, McMillan's run kind of coincided with that short Evans being outspan too.
Yeah, Evans was also out. There was a week, whatever week it was, when Sterling Shepard was like the starter. That was pretty. That was a signal for the Bucks that they needed to take a receiver ASAP, and they go out and get Ibuka. And I think I was confused why anyone questioned the like how that made sense. I was like, I think it makes total sense. Do you remember what the Bucks went through with wide receiver injuries last season? Ibuka has been a really consistent producer in college on a really top program. So, and he's a great run blocker as well, right? One of the things he's known for, and that they're going to run the ball a ton with Bucky. It seems like so he just fits super well for them. You can move him around in the slot outside, has success
I think it
anywhere.
was I think it was only really a questionable pick for them because their defense was pretty rough. Like,
Okay.
he's a fine pick. Like, it makes sense for the offense. I just think they had a pretty bad defense. So, not addressing that in the first round. But if they clearly saw him as the top talent, I mean, that's just more bullish for him as a pick, right?
Yes. Yep.
So that makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I like Igbuka. I do think targets could be a little bit rough for him to get to, like, especially early, but he could be definitely a late season guy. Godwin coming off injury. Mike Evans is pretty old. He's dealt with injuries. So I'm definitely okay with him as a pick. It's just a
Yep.
little hard to see the target volume, but it I'm okay with him. I think I'll have like an average amount of him. I think he's a talent. It just might be a little hard to get the volume if everyone's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not for 2025, the most volume, but I think soon enough. Um,
Oh yeah.
I'm fully expecting Team Money to take Goff before we have the chance to, but I don't think we have to take Goff this far ahead of ADP. Justin Fields is still there, and Baker Mayfield's there, but we don't really have a great connection for Baker Mayfield considering we don't have Evans or Egbuka.
You know
I
what?
would
Oh, go ahead.
no, go, yeah. What do you think?
I would lean Fields if he's available.
Yes,
I
yeah.
know we don't have him stacked, but I mean, you don't need to stack with Fields, and
Technically,
we
we
can
have
get your
Brees.
favorite tight end. Oh, we have
You
Brees. Oh yeah, we're good. Yeah,
know, you're back
all
on.
the rushing touchdowns. There we go. I was on. We could have not a single Jet or Patriot.
Yeah, we don't
Justin
have to
Fields
have
might
this.
be the best pick on the board.
I like that take.
Baker, it's too bad we don't have. Yeah, we didn't get like Evans or something because that's a good value on Baker. I'm a little bit. Oh, he takes Baker. He had Evans, I think.
He did
Oh no, he
not.
didn't. Oh, okay.
Pretty interesting
Value,
team.
value hounding. Um,
I'm cool with Fields. We have 2 picks though. Are you feeling like the Bateman, the Charbonnet?
uh, I mean, I'm okay with Bateman. That's fine. I'd probably lean running back if you like someone over him, but
Yeah, I
I'm
think we
fine with
can.
Bateman.
I think we can take a running back here. Probably a good call. Do we go Najee for the Nico bring back and the fact that there's some good coach speak on him? He's maybe a
Yeah,
two-headed monster, but
unless we want to get both QB. We have so many late QB options though. We don't really need Goff right now.
that's what I was thinking.
So yeah, Najee feels fine to me.
Would you always take like a Tootin over a Najee or a Charbonnet?
No, not really. I'm
Okay.
not because like Najee will play more than Charbonnet, and maybe he doesn't have as much like upside, but I think just in that system, if he stays healthy, he's always stayed healthy. Like he might never really fully go away, and they should be a pretty good offense. So I think his touchdown upside will always be there. He's always
Okay.
been a pretty good pass catcher.
Yep.
I think he can give you spike weeks, even though he's not like the most explosive guy, most efficient guy. He's just a grinder, can be used at the goal line. So I'm okay with Najee. I do like Tootin a lot, but I don't know. It is more risky. I think on this build, we already have Genty and Brees early. That gives us giant upside. So maybe we get a little safer guy who will give us some early season production, maybe kind of be around all year in a good offense, get some touchdowns. Good old line, good setup for him.
100% agree. I think this is it's a fine price for Najee. And then it just
Mhm.
kind of fits our team because we took a little break from the running backs after double tapping. Not, I guess not double tapping technically because it was our pick 13 and then pick 36, but going 2 running backs in a row, 2 through 4 rounds, take a big break, grab some wide receivers, a tight end who's semi elite, get Fields, which feels nice. The
Mhm.
team stack of Fields and Brees doesn't hurt. Najee's a bring back in week 17 for Nico Collins, our first round pick, so that doesn't hurt either. That maybe tips the scales a little bit for me to go ahead and take him. I don't, like you said, I don't think we needed Bateman with the receivers we've already got, considering we've got 5 of them, and
Mhm.
it wouldn't necessarily give us another QB out later, anyways. Maybe a bring back for the Packers, but we don't have anything with the Packers going either. And then we probably did need to grab a running back there before it just got too late. With Tootin, I mean, Bindles would have had me taking Tootin 10 out of 10 over Najee, but I like to mix it up, and I think it just kind of came together nicely for us. I'll be interested to see where Golf goes. Obviously, T Money has him on Ross, so there's no way we get him at 132, but that's kind of the range we're thinking to go Stroud and potentially another
We
quarterback,
yeah, we
anyways.
could double tap it. They do have the same bye week. Um,
I know what
but
you're
that
saying.
wouldn't but we have Field, so that doesn't feel too bad. It's early in the season bye week, so we should
There's
be good
also
for just Fields to cover.
yeah, there's also a very tall left-handed quarterback that I wouldn't hate at that spot, but I don't think we'd have to do it. We also have the late out with like a Shuck, but that
Yeah.
I say it out loud and it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, I mean, I
But it's
think if
cheap.
we get and then maybe if the other one goes, or if we see someone we really like, we don't want to go 2 QBs, then we can probably just tack on Chuck late. We could throw Jawan on this team, get like a nice little double stack. That'd feel pretty good too. So we'll just kind of see what's there. If there's someone we really love, we can just get 1 QB. If there's not, then we double tap QB and feel pretty good with having a really strong QB room overall.
I think, yeah, we'd feel really strong there. Team Money has taken Baker and Caleb Williams both unstacked, so maybe he's just not really worried about the stack. Could we see him skip Goff, considering he just took 2 QBs? And in this case, like, I know there's a lot of people who are in the chat who are drafting with, but in this hypothetical, at pick 132 and 133, we get 2 picks. If Goff is still there, does
Oh, for
that
sure.
override the pick for the other QB that we would potentially have double stacked?
I mean, okay, he goes
He
anyway, so
goes,
I
but yeah,
guess
I think it would
is
have,
he
right? Like,
stacked? I think so, yeah, the value's too
100%.
much.
The
And we
value,
had a
the
good
uniqueness of
enough
getting him
piece.
late.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had a good enough Detroit piece, like, we have a double with the other one, but I think just the value is worth it at that point. The better projected, like, just scoring of that offense. And we did spend early capital, like, our earliest capital pick is the Goff stack, right? So oh,
So we lose Stroud with Nico. That's gonna upset me for the rest of the night because I always want to stack Nico and Stroud.
he had
Um,
Higgins.
and then yeah. All right, let me show you. I was looking at my phone. Let me show you. We can obviously queue him up. Do you think
Yeah.
it's these two then? Or do we push QB and get one and then take something else we could use here?
So definitely JJ, no doubt. And then is there a receiver or running back that you really want? Not receiver, probably, right? There's some really good tight ends. So I'm okay with either of those picks. I think if we get the tight end, we stop at 2 for sure. Running back, I don't really love any of them. So I'm okay with Penix or either of those tight ends. I think a receiver, almost definitely not, right?
You have to convince me to take Warren. We already have Hawk. Should we do Warren or just Penix?
I think Penix is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think get the QB over with. Don't leave it
Mhm.
out there ambiguously. We've already got stacks for him. We
And we
can
have a
figure something
crazy
out.
strong we have a crazy strong QB room now. And we
Yeah.
spent pretty early capital on Hawk. Like, getting 2 tight ends like that does feel good, but I don't know, I'm just as happy kinda punting the other 2 and getting, like, 2 kinda mid guys. That feels pretty good to me too with, like, a semi-elite guy. So, I don't know,
I
I
think
really
so.
like Njoku. I'm okay with Warren, but I think getting all our guys stacked, like, it just feels good. Like, we have a super strong QB room, should be really strong for advancement, gives us a lot of outs. It just feels good having those 3 guys.
Man, I'm gonna be upset about not getting Nico, but it's okay.
Yeah.
That's at the end of the day, it's not gonna sink this team. We built it out in a way that it's more resilient than just that. Let me do a quick refresh. I want to see how many Stroud Nico teams I had already. So I
We'll
had
keep
out of the
going.
5, I had 3. So it's not the end of the world, but I think I want Nico and Stroud together on 60 to 75% of all of my Nico teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think you want almost 100% if you can get it,
If
right?
you can get it right.
Like, I think with a pocket passing QB, you almost want them, like, as close to 100% as you can. Be a little, like, I mean, but the board will do that to you where they're kind of taking it away anyway. So I think you
Yeah,
kind of always aim to get the stack. Maybe you only reach for it if you're lower than you want to be, but
right.
at value, you just want to get that stack pretty much whenever you can. Like maybe if we had an elite and JJ, then we're like, oh, we'll pass on him or something. But very rare scenarios where you wouldn't want to stack it.
100% agree. In my head, the only situations I would be okay not having Nico with Stroud is when I have Nico with an elite QB like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, of course. If I definitely already had Herbert with Lad and Nico becomes the bring back, which still I wouldn't mind Stroud, but that could be a salvageable kind of situation that you don't have to take Nico. And then, like you said, naturally you're going to get sniped sometimes with CJ, but all other cases, it's like he's a pocket passer. When Nico is the guy you need, you want Stroud there. So it's all right on this one. We luckily had built out the double stack for the Vikings, and we had Mooney option, which I think we feel good about. We just also like Penix, and he's kind of a little bit of a value because he hasn't shown everything yet. He's only had like a 3-game stretch as a starter. So and then we obviously built out the Vikings Lions game. So we had some resiliency built out around our QB options. We got 3 right in the QB pocket, in range rounds 9 to 12. So I'm good with that. And then now we just continue to take advantage of whatever falls to us, build out the running back room, tack on 1, maybe 2 more receivers. Seems like plenty. And then the tight ends, we're also in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it's coming together really well. And I know we obviously didn't have like Garrett Wilson, but Fields is just a guy I can't stop clicking Justin Fields. Like his price, I think it's just too low. That rushing upside is too much. And I think he's improved as a passer over the years too. It's not like he's incredible, but with that rushing upside, I don't know. I just can't stop clicking Justin Fields.
What do
So
we
do we
like
have
here?
any bringbacks that look good? Probably not right now, right? I guess
Would you
they'd be
would you
highlighted.
take Pitts on this team to get the double stack? Does it make sense for just to get with Penix, or you just hate Pitts?
I guess it does make sense. If you're okay with it, we can get picked. We can get Pitts.
I rarely do it, but I think in this case, because we end up just making the last pick on Penix, let's just kind of get a little bit further there. Hopefully, it doesn't get traded or something crazy. And then, do you think we go
Yeah.
running back here, considering the wide receivers we can probably get next round, or is there
Yeah,
Stubbs or
I mean,
Thielen?
I kind of like Tank's upside. I'd be okay with Thielen also, but I feel like we have a lot of volume early where a guy like that maybe doesn't help a ton.
I'm cool with Tank.
Yeah, I just like his upside. He's fallen so much that I think he's turned into a good value. I wasn't really clicking him at all early, but with how far he's fallen, he feels like a pretty good value now.
I don't mind it. Just get a Jaguars running back in every draft and figure it out later.
Yeah, that unambiguous backfields with a projected good system. It's always a bet you want to make, right? I mean,
And if
you're
he hits the
gonna hit
lineup
it.
one time, he'll pay off. If he does something like Sean Tucker did last season, I'm good with that. If
Mhm.
it's in the right week, it could help us a lot. Um, he obviously had a role last season. And what's I going to say about him though with Tank Bigsby?
He was a more efficient rusher than ETN last year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, as a rule of thumb, if there's an ambiguous running back situation on a team that seems worth having a running back on, it doesn't hurt to have one of the cheaper or the cheapest option. I think back to the Dolphins a few years ago when Achane was a rookie. You could have gotten Mostert and Achane at like a really good cost. And so either one of them would have worked out. Of course, the third option there was Jeff Wilson, and he didn't pay off, but still kind of the process of it can get you in the right direction. So hopefully Tank Bigsby is not the Jeff Wilson of this team in 2025. Otherwise, there could just be times of the season where it's like, okay, well, the first 8 games, it was you wanted Tank, and then the last 8 games, you wanted Tootin or you wanted ETN. Like, who knows? So he can pay off at a different point in the season and help this team in some ways.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I just think the Liam Cohen offensive system has shown that it's very good for running backs. That's a nice start.
That's a nice start.
But
I saw
that
that on Twitter earlier too. And then did you notice Steve's start. I didn't call it out
Yeah,
explicitly
you
earlier.
got Burrow.
You got the
At
Burrow at
72.
72 double stacked, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. So it's crazy that no one in this room, it's allegedly sharp. No one wants to protect the integrity of the contest. Kind of, right? That's what they call it when you snipe Burrow.
I do agree. I find, and then we got sniped on Stroud. The Stroud went completely unstacked, and we
No,
I guess Higgins.
he had
I
Higgins.
didn't notice that. It was Higgins. That's why. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I did.
It's
Goff
fine.
was Goff completely unstacked. He was way past ADP, but
Goff must have been with
no, I think he's unstacked.
Gibbs. There it is.
Oh, it's kind of a week. I mean, like I don't really ever do that. Like I guess you count with Gibbs. He catches a lot of passes, but it was value.
Dobbins 162. That's sharp.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty happy. I got pretty big J.K. Dobbins bags. He's not signed yet though, so maybe I'm not even happy. There was rumors that he didn't actually sign.
It's a pretty nuts run out. I've only gotten 2 in Best Ball Mania, but in every other contest, I have like 25% Dobbins. I don't know how. Maybe I was just being a little bit more risk averse in my Best Ball Manias, but I've definitely clicked a lot of Dobbins. I'm actually surprised it's that low in this format.
I think the first time me and you did a stream together, I think we picked Dobbins 3 times straight, right?
Yep.
We did 3 drafts.
Were those what was open then? Were those puppies?
I think they were eliminators mostly.
I think so, but I haven't even done that many eliminators. It's been a couple weeks, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, at least good he's getting meetings and stuff. Feels pretty good for the bags.
Damn, receiver looks terrible. I think we
it really
got to take one at some point, but
Jarquez, that is 3-week 8s, but I'm pretty okay with it this slate of capital. Because we have Genty and Bigsby, but it probably doesn't really matter.
Right. And we could do something kind of, I don't know. We don't have to go double running back and take 6.
Well, do we want to stop at 2 tight ends or no?
Potentially, right? Or do you want to grab one here?
I'm okay with it. We could grab Taylor for the stack.
That's not a bad call.
So
I like it more than Giddens for no reason.
So, but we probably need 2 receivers with our last 2 picks if we do that, right?
I guess we could stop at 6 because of the capital we've gotten it. I don't think our buys are like a death sentence to have 2 guys out of 6, but it is a little bit thin. Is there just a receiver here worth taking?
Not really, unless you like Coker or Slayton, I guess. Those would probably be my 2, but I don't love them.
I'm cool with getting the 3rd tight end. Like we were saying earlier, tight end's the most injured position. I don't have a lot of faith in Pitts. It's just for the stack. And then getting the stack with Taylor helps a little bit. Hawkinson's kind of our main bet. But we have 3 tight ends all stacked with our QBs. We've got 2 of our receivers stacked up. And then we also got Brees, another team bet with the Jets.
Yeah, so we got double stacks with all our QBs. And then Jarquez was a bring back, so that felt pretty good to get, right? Jamo's a bring back. So the only bring back we don't have is New England, but that's probably the worst one to get a bring back for. So
I've got a name or 2 in mind. I've got a name in mind for later for that.
Oh yeah, the wide receiver one last year.
I guess technically he was, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I think he probably was. I guess there's 2 guys you could say they were the wide receiver one. They're probably both still available.
Yeah, I think one of them had, I don't know. One of them might have had more yardage, but just not in an impressive way. So 3-5-5-3. Do you want another running back though and go 3-6-6-3, or do you think 3-5-7-3 is the way to go?
I mean, we do have the double anchor early, so we can probably stop at 5, but we could tack on another. We could go 3-6-6-3. It's not a build I do much.
Right.
It seems pretty viable with how we spent our capital.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I feel really good with that receiver room. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm really good with this receiver room. Like, we could just get one more that makes sense. It's the running backs. I think it's also very good just to lean on these three, and then we only need something out of these two. It's a little bit thin for our week 8 bye, but there's no money. How much money do you win in week 8, by the way?
In BBM, I don't think anything.
Okay, then
Full season
maybe we're
prize
good.
though.
Maybe we're
Regular
good with
season.
those 5.
It could hurt us for the regular season prize though. I don't know how much you factor that in.
I do not factor it in.
But yeah, I think we could stop at 5. We can kind of see what's there. Like if we like any of the running backs a lot, then maybe we grab them and go 3-6-6-3. But I don't know. Like maybe if the other guy you were thinking on that turn is there, maybe we do a 3-6-6-3. If not, maybe we go 3-5-7-3.
I like it. We have the
Yeah.
option. We feel good, obviously, at QB and tight end. We feel good at running back and receiver. These are 2 luxury picks that just make our team stronger, either in week 17 or with our bets that we've made on these teams, or to give us some resiliency, some depth. If we took a
Yeah.
7th receiver, it would be a pure depth play. It would have to like really make a lot of sense, because I feel like the 5 that we took.
No way. Someone took our Patriots bring back. Sorry.
Oh yeah, there goes Butte. Is exactly who I was thinking for the bring back. So we don't have, maybe it's just 6 receivers then, and we get one more swing at running back.
Yeah, and I do kind of like we could get a bring back possibly on our Atlanta. Might feel pretty good as just kind of a spike week guy.
I'm sorry, what'd you say there?
Oh, we get a bring back on our Atlanta as like a spike week guy.
You're thinking of the receiver?
Yeah.
He's going to be there. I don't think someone will take him.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about I mean, Coker the slate feels okay too. AD
for some
Mitchell,
depth.
I mean, I have bags and bags of AD Mitchell, so
I think I
looks
have
like you
enough
do
for
too.
now, but I obviously like him. Coker goes, T-Money. So then I was thinking Tutu. I think you were too.
Yeah, Tutu.
That's the obvious one.
I think he's the easy click for us. And then we could either go like Giddens, Taj Brooks, or a receiver.
I'd have to think about why we would go Giddens over Taj Brooks or vice versa. Like, which one do we really want? I don't think we need Felton on this build.
Yeah, I'd probably go Wicks if we're going receiver.
I was kind of thinking
Calvin
that
Austin's
too.
okay too. He might be a little underrated with Rodgers coming to town. I'm honestly fine with any of these 4 picks. Yeah, I really don't have a super strong lean to be honest.
Maybe we take a running back to Giddens or Taj Brooks.
Okay, Taj Brooks fine. Yeah.
I don't know.
I like Taj Brooks. I think maybe he has more chance to have like some standalone value, a lot better offense overall. Giddens, he still has to beat out Khalil Herbert, which I think is a little underrated in that backfield. And
Right.
Jonathan Taylor, when healthy, plays like a 90% snap share. He's one of the highest usage running backs in the league. Like historically, like over a multi-year sample. So Giddens might have a really hard time seeing the field even if he does take over the RB2 role. Where Brooks might work in a little more if he takes over for Moss. I know Chase Brown got crazy usage last year, but I think that was more related to a lot of injuries. He didn't really get that until Moss got hurt. So the RB2 might work in some. They should be a really great offense. Indy probably won't be too great of an offense. So that, I like Brooks there. He's a little riskier, but maybe a little more upside too.
Part of a good offense, upside swing, luxury pick. For all of those reasons, it made sense. Take a Bengals, skill position player on a team when you can. We saw how that paid off with Chase Brown last year. Who knows? I felt good about our wide receivers. Tutu made so much sense to me that when he fell to us, they're sounding like they want to use him a lot more this year, potentially, and then they're excited about him. And we only like I said, we have a Small issue with week 8 buys for our running backs. A small, tiny issue for week 6 with our top tight end and then the wide receivers. But there's no money in week 6. There's no money in week 8. This is a team that's built for week 17, built for maybe getting a Hunter or a Brooks to pay off in a big way. And then we're kind of set everywhere else. So that's like the only thing we would need like an upside scenario for. Obviously, Fields could also be like a big piece you need and then just like really carry this team too.
Yeah, I feel like our quarterbacks and tight ends are very strong. And I think at running back, like we're mostly relying just on Genty and Brees Hall. Like they should be hitting our lineup every week that they're not on bye. So getting upside swings later, we got some security with that Najee pick, and then we just took a bunch of like really big upside shots with our other 3, right? So I think that feels pretty good as a build, like running back room overall.
We did it again where we were about like 4 rounds in and then we just like went really hard on focus mode drafting this one out. Even though we're in the 12 spot, we had plenty of time between each pick. We like hyper analyzed every single pick we made, which is typically what we do, which is why I think it's so fun. Like when we draft together and we're like, we try really hard to make these perfect teams. But I just looked over and I'm like, what's up with the chat? Oh, we haven't responded in 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and like when we draft together, it's like you either you'll have your point or I'll have my point on like one of the guys, and then we give like the other one will give their point, and then by then we're like back up. It's like, all right, time to pick. Like,
And this
yeah.
is a 30-second clock too, but
They were going decently fast though with the picks. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I mean I think that's good. We're like really analyzing it, giving, hopefully good info.
hopefully. The funny part is also we change our minds. Some players we've had pretty strong takes on, but we also change our minds pretty frequently. So like someone will come back like after a week and they'll be like, "Hey, you said last week that like you didn't like this guy." And I'm like, situation changed, I guess. Someone convinced me somewhere along the way.
But that's the good thing too, is we're not like, oh, I love this guy, and then like no explanation. We're actually explaining like why and the reasoning, and so it makes sense when you change at least, right? So I think
No
that's
doubt.
part of it too.
So let's go through these let's go through all the chats as fast as we can. Doesn't feel like QB is being drafted high enough. Yeah, maybe it's just the format, but I have generally agreed that the QBs are really nice kind of starting in round 9, 10, and then I want to have a good QB room by the time I'm leaving round 12. There's late guys like Bryce Young that's fun to click, but after that, maybe Geno, maybe Cam Ward. After that, it becomes a struggle if you really need QB later on because you either get sniped and then it all falls apart, or you just have like a weaker room and you're like betting on like kind of a weaker non-guaranteed starter.
Well, I think his comment was actually related to the elites
The
because he
elite ones,
said
right?
none being QB impactful of 30 players because Josh Allen kind of fell.
Yep.
And I agree with that a little, but QB is also a position like, you look at our QB room, like between the 3 of them, they could spike and hit weeks like an elite. Like, and I think a lot of QB rooms are like that where you get 3 starters you feel good about, especially a guy like Fields with the rushing upside. Like, I don't know, like the elites are valuable, I agree, but there's a reason like maybe they don't go in the second or first round like they used to. I think we've kind
Yep.
of figured out in best ball you can get 3 solid starters all stacked and you can feel really good week to week and then kind of ping pong off each other really well. Or like a guy like Baker last year. Do you want your elite in the second round or you want Baker Mayfield late? If you hit on a guy like that, even if he was a 10th round pick and he had a year like last year, like you hit on a guy like that, that just kind of washes your elite QBs, right? Like in a way, not washes them, but the value is so much greater on a build.
Perfectly said. The opportunity cost of the elite QBs is an elite wide receiver or running back who could be the guy you need in week 17. It's just easier to replace the quarterback points later on because there's essentially 32 starting QBs, and you only need to start one of them, and there's only 12 teams, drafting. So everyone should have one or two swings at a quality starter. I guess just the way it works out in the math of it, and you need so many like shots at receiver and running back. That's kind of another reason I think of it is just like the way the 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 tournament structure, the positional needs, are just different. But I think, yeah, that's something we've thought about for a long time. Like, is elite QB undervalued? I don't know. We were talking about that so long ago, but now it totally makes sense thinking back. Steph had a neighbor's lad start. I like that start. And then Brees Anchor, Kittle at 57 seems really nice too. So that'll be a fun one. That'll be one to watch for sure. Yeah, I know Putt Daddy has always been expressing that he thinks the top elite tight ends have been a little bit hard to swallow. Yeah, Kittle at 57. I have a regret. One time I let Hartman get Kittle at 59. I skipped on him at 58. I think I had Bowers, or maybe I think I had
No.
Jaden Davis.
I think what it was, I had like a lot of running backs and stuff.
I
So
tried
you
to
maybe
push it.
were pushing them, thinking I was gonna go double receiver. And I think I was streaming, I was like, I'm never doing that. I'm taking Kittle. Like maybe like team allocation, it wasn't the best move, but I'm like, I'm not passing on Kittle at 60.
I think maybe I had an elite QB, and so I was like, oh, I can't go elite QB and elite tight end. I'll be behind. And then look, Hartman's on the turn, and he needs wide receivers. Maybe he'll pass Kittle too, and I can really push Kittle, but I'm never doing that again. That was instant regret. Yo, what up, JT? How's it going, brother? Hope you're having a great night.
Up, bro?
I stopped in 50 minutes ago, but that's how it goes. JT and I drafted an eliminator a couple nights ago. Had a really fun time.
Nice, yeah. We were ripping some eliminators and super flexes last night on his channel.
Yeah, I caught some of that. That's a good point from Steve. Yeah. I think we're generally pretty in on Olave. Devontae says hi. I have to see what that makes. What was the context of Devontae Adams?
I mean, he went at 30.
Maybe that was
It must
related.
have been something we were saying.
Yeah, I wonder. But yeah, I mean, I think Devontae's a great pick in the third round. Anytime I see him going in the fourth round, I'm like pretty jealous of that. What up, PPR? Consecutive legend. Another guy who's had a great week of streaming. Had none other than the Peter Overzet, Influencer 101, Best Ball Bro, on the stream earlier this week. Really, really fun time. Good little drafted together. And good show. Fun stuff. And Tyler's streak, I think he's in he said it. I think he's like 130 right now, somewhere in that range.
137, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think that's what it said on the stream today. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, maybe from a real football perspective, then they should have gone defense. But I mean, I like the Igbuka pick from a straight fantasy brain kind of viewpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, got that one answered. It was a 30-second BBM, and we were locked in. Nick Bach was in the previous one, so I think he was maybe doing some other format, but he's always dropping back in. Always good to have Nick Bach in the chat. Penix makes me real nervous with Kirk lurking short lease. I think it's kind of the opposite, where it's like they could never go back to Kirk. Right now, the only time Kirk would start is if Penix gets injured. I feel like they've turned the page. Do you have any thoughts on that, Hartman?
I pretty much agree with your take. I mean, like Penix would have to be unbelievably bad to get benched. I don't even think, even if he had a horrible like 3-4 week stretch, I really don't think you bench him. It just hurts the overall like kind of like growth of the team. Like you don't bench the young guy for the old vet. It just can't happen because it would have to be late in the season and they're like competitive and Penix looks horrible. But if he's looking good early in the season, they were competitive, then it doesn't really play out like that either. I just don't think the dynamic works out. It'd be like if Penix got hurt and Kirk plays amazing. That would probably be the only way, I guess. But it takes a Penix injury, in my opinion.
That's yeah. If like Penix getting hurt makes me think of Anthony Richardson getting hurt, and then like he kind of get like a soft benching, but it wasn't a true benching. Same thing with kind of like Bryce Young getting hurt and like a soft benching, but maybe that was more of a true benching. I'd have to that. So, but do you want to like follow the lead from like the Colts or the Panthers handling of their QB1 situations? Like definitely, almost certainly not, right? Which makes
Well,
you
and
think
if that happens, then like we shouldn't really be picking the Falcons players in general. So if we made
yeah,
a bet on the Falcons at all,
yep,
then I don't really think you want to bake that in because it's just not helpful unless you're going to fade the Falcons as a whole.
very good point. Every time we draft these Best Ball Mania teams, we are drafting the team that has already won in Week 17. We just have to figure out how it won. And so this is a very distinct universe where Penix is like one of the best valued quarterbacks for 2025. So we wanted the pieces that go with him. So like he's not going to get benched. But I could see in a different draft where we don't have Penix, we would definitely entertain the thought that he gets benched or something and maybe just avoid the Falcons. But I haven't been avoiding the Falcons. I've been drafting a lot of Mooney, tons of
Yeah,
Mooney.
me too.
I probably need to play it through London and Bijan a little bit more, honestly, because I'm so overweight on Mooney, but I'm a little bit underweight on. I'm probably close to the field on London. I'm definitely underweight on Bijan, but also I'm not getting picks in the first, 5 picks very often, so it's half not my fault.
And I'm underweight on London too, just because I'm a lad, like truther lad bull.
I was taking Ladd and AJ Brown both over London. I've started to rebalance just so I'm not completely out.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. Oh, Nick Box comment was because we said ambiguous backfields. So he was saying that means you need to take Miles Sanders. It
Oh
does
yeah,
not.
because he gets latent. Hey, some people have been clicking them. I've clicked them like once, maybe twice, but some people are clicking them. Fantasy Dog, what's up, brother? Hope you're having a great Saturday night. Thanks for the likes, of course. Always good to see you dropping in. Dang, that's impressive. I haven't taken Burrow in so long because I haven't drafted Jamar Chase in like months.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
can't get a one spot. I don't know what it is.
I don't get much Burrow either. I don't know. Usually, like, I don't know. I mean, I should price stack him more, but like, feels like 49 such a bad spot to get him. And then he doesn't usually fall back.
See, what's funny is Antonio Gibson was one of my highest exposed running backs in the big board. And I stopped clicking him like mid-March or the end of March, and I was still like 24% exposed to him. So like, can be worse, could be better.
I had bags of Antonio Gibson last year.
Yeah, I have him this year in the big boards. That's kind of weird. Dang, almost got Gesicki on that one. Let's check the board. Gesicki goes pick 189 right before Steve had the chance. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But you got Jawan, so nice. And then the Aaron Rodgers pick. I know Steve's been very bullish on Aaron Rodgers the last couple of days. I've noticed in a lot of his drafts that I see him take on stream.
You have DK. I
Uh,
had Caleb.
he
He had
doesn't.
Caleb Johnson, and then probably backstacked with like his boy Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin.
Calvin. It must have been Calvin if I had to guess.
Hmm.
Two mules in a cart. I love the profile picture too. Cute
Oh, yeah.
little donkeys or maybe mules. Wicks led Packers in receptions last year. Just subscribed. Hey, thanks for the subscription. Appreciate you being here. Sorry we got to your comment so much later. But yeah, we've been pretty in on Wicks. That must have popped up when we were thinking about drafting Wicks with the last pick. And we ended up going with Tutu and Taj Brooks. I think Wicks is a nice addition to a lot of teams. I've been taking a good amount of love in the Packers. Maybe not
Yeah.
explicitly in Best Ball Mania, because I'm looking at my exposures here and it looks like I don't have a ton of them, but across all tournaments, and I guess I could just filter to that quickly.
my love and Tucker Craft stacks, it has to be an insane amount. I don't even
I
want to
wish I
look at
had
it.
more. Mine's kind of dwindled down to about 13 and 12%. But then Wix is at 13% as well. I've started to balance out my Lloyd with my Wilson. This is across all
Oh,
tournaments. I'm higher on the Packers in all tournaments. I don't know how I'm just a little bit, or actually a lot lower in strictly Best Ball Mania on those same pieces. Seems
Well,
weird.
one quick thing though on that. Wicks did not lead the Packers in catches. He led them in
Targets.
targets. Yeah, he famously has butterfingers. So I like Wicks too. I'm in on Wicks. Don't get me wrong, but if he can catch, then he's an absolute smash. He can get open. He can run routes. He just drops the ball. Him and AD Mitchell, them both those guys, if they can catch, they can both be smashes. But
In AD, I think he was 21 when he entered the league last season, if I remember correctly. He's one of the younger guys, so he still has some maturing to do. I'm hopeful that he can take the step forward. I've got a bunch of them. I just try not to draft him every single draft because I just need to have some variability in my round 17 and 18 picks. Otherwise, I'd be taking Mitchell like every time, and probably Wicks too.
yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like high teens or 20% on both of them. And I've kind of slowed down just because I don't want to be too overexposed.
Who sniped? Oh, for the Steve. He sniped
Oh,
Steve. Yeah.
Giuseppe.
I
Yeah.
was like, you didn't snipe us. How'd I do? Yeah, Gerardo's team. Jordan James. I mean, I've seen BBG draft some Jordan James teams. I haven't done it since the big board as much. The Dart Click, I think, is
BBG.
fun and nice to do. I usually like to do it with Malik Neighbors. And then, but I think if you have Josh Allen and then Dart, that's kind of fun. You just have to worry about Josh Allen's week 7 bye is a little bit early, and there's probably a 50-50 chance Dart's on the bench at that point.
Yeah, it is a little risky with an earlier bye week guy, but I mean, having Josh Allen, I mean, wasn't there one year where Josh Allen was so good that you were actually better off just taking a 0 on his bye week and not taking another QB? Like statistically, like it was better to just not take a QB with him.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago or something. There's some stat like that. I've seen Hayden Winks put it out. But yeah, I
I,
mean, that feels fine. It is a little risky, but that feels totally fine. You have, in my opinion, the QB1 or QB2 at worst.
I like it. I think with Puka, I would just see like maybe you should have gotten Stafford on this build. Of course, he goes pick 150, and you probably thought you could have got him at 152. And 137 is a little bit rich for Stafford, but yeah, I can see how that puts you in a pickle. And then I like the tight ends you took too. I like the Loveland, Kraft, Goddard. Those three, that feels really strong.
Oh, yeah, that's a very strong tight end room for sure.
Yeah, very strong, very nice.
I like the build overall.
And at 5, oh, the 5 spot. Did you sneak in here? Good googly. Are you really in the MGE Brim? M Gabrim 1. Is that really you? I didn't catch that yet, but good to know. Good to know. I'll try to remember that one. I know you've been in the chat, drafting with, like chilling with us, but now I know you're drafting with us too. Yeah, was that yours? The CD Lamb, Brock Bowers, JSN Metcalf, Smith at 53. I like this team a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, real good values early. Um, yeah, and I mean,
Ooh, he got sniped on Dak.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Did you get
Yeah.
Gino though? Yeah, that makes up for it a little bit.
Delu Tomsky, you said sorry for the snipe for Jasicki at 189. What's the thought on the Dak pick there? I know you didn't have Pickens.
He didn't have Pickens?
Pickens went at 39.
The
I know he didn't
JGFC
have.
at 39. Oh yeah, wow, David, you really screwed over
Yeah,
Good Googly.
Jaden. Yeah, Jaden too.
I don't know. Javonte Williams for the stack.
And he had Trey Harris and he took Dak over Herbert.
I guess you could argue. I mean, Javonte catches some balls. I guess you could argue that. And I don't know. I'm just trying to make an excuse. He goes 12
Yeah.
with the last pick.
The backstack.
Dude, I was already pissed we got sniped on Stroud. If I had CD Brock Bowers and I didn't get Dak, I'd be fuming. I'd be like, the one time you get CD and Brock Bowers, you probably never get it again, and you don't get Dak, but you did get Geno, so that could be a fine way to play it, you know?
Yeah, and those QBs are fine. Herbert, Geno, Darnold. Like, you feel fine with that. Darnold with JSN, Geno with Bowers.
Yep. Gerardo, definitely got you, my man. Yeah, yep. Okay, just catching up. I can't see the whole thing. I was drafting and listening, so I didn't see the whole board. Yeah. We just got into it, but that was still Steph said that like 20 minutes ago. But if you want Steph's reviews, you got to get in the Discords. You got to be in the right Discords to find her. So I'll leave that up to you to figure that one out. 58% Wicks. See, I wrote a note down in my phone at the end of last season. I said, in Best Ball Mania, no players over 30% exposure, purely for the reason that injuries exist. Because I had 59 Nico Collins teams out of 150, and he got injured. And if Nico Collins didn't get injured, bro, if Nico Collins didn't get the hammy, would have been my year. But no. So that's my only take on that. It doesn't matter who the player is, but 58 is a little bit tough if he gets injured week 2 or week 1 or something.
I mean, at least at an 18th round pick, though, like, unless there is like a Puka Kyron type guy, like, it's not the end of the world, even if he gets hurt and preseason's out for the year. It's like, you lost your 18th round pick. You don't want that, but it's not like a first rounder or something.
True. Also, the thing I just thought of is why I don't take Wicks and AD Mitchell in every single draft is the opportunity cost of missing out on the biggest hit that comes from the 18th round. What if it's not the guy you think it is? Then you've been drafting so much of this one guy, you don't have the other possible connections, right? Like if you only took player X and then Puka or Kyron is the guy you needed, but you're so overexposed, you're going to have even less of a chance of getting that guy.
Right. And that's kind of more, how I view it. Like, I want to mix it up, not because I'm worried my guy might fail, but because I'm worried there might be a different guy who's the giant hit. Because those guys are so hard to project, so hard to know what'll happen.
Hopefully, good googly, we covered your team, but if we'll see it. Maybe Steph threw some comments in at the bottom. We'll see. Yeah, you did. I noticed that. A bunch of naked QBs. I noticed that too.
I mean, I don't even know what he's talking about.
Addison. He said Addison, and then the comment was, "Wait till you see Adams." Devontae Adams says hi because of the spike weeks. Yeah, Devontae Adams is Mr. Spike Week.
Yeah, but I mean, price adjusted. I mean, I like Adams. I like Devontae.
I love Adams
too, but third round pick. We could have never even got Adams anyway on this team.
Rough Buff Fire. I like the name. I don't know if I've seen that one before. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a great Saturday night. The Chase Higgins Burrow. Yeah, I don't think I've gotten it, but I have gotten like T with a late Burrow or Chase with a late Burrow. I don't know if I've had the whole. I definitely haven't had the whole stack in any of the tournaments yet.
I have it once. I think in like a puppy though. Definitely not BBM.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same.
What this dude should have joined the draft. Come on, like you just saw the game crumble in front of your face. Stop drafting BBMs now.
Could saved us.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, James. And 15 minutes is generous. We are locked into these Best Ball Mania drafts.
I mean, James sent that 16 minutes ago. So he was dead on.
That's true. Okay, we're getting closer. Ripping another one. We'll review this one, Steve. But I think I'm going to call it after those two. So we'll just kind of like look through this last one. I think it's just getting late for me. I need to get some rest up. But we'll be back soon. Always, as you know, we're drafting all summer long. Still, I think, yeah. We'll get you real soon in another one, Steph. No worries. I'm gonna have to call it after after these two. I got to get some rest up. I've been feeling under the weather for the last few days. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, to
I
get
don't think
benched. Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that happens. I mean, from a guy who's seen Michael Penix play in person on New Year's Day in New Orleans, in whatever they call that stadium. I can't think of it at the moment. When I was in the behind the end zone, and I just see this tall lefty chunking up balls, moon balls soaring all the way, 50, 60 yards down the field, right into the receiver's hands every time. I was like, dang, this guy is it. And that's very anecdotal, but that's the convincing I needed. He was doing it against one of the best secondaries in the country, the Longhorns. Talking about that Washington Longhorn college football semifinal game. I was there in person for that, trying to get my Horns to win and go to the Natty, but it wasn't meant to be. Exact same game that Adonai Mitchell was 2 inches away from catching a touchdown in the last drive for the Horns to tie it up, or even I think maybe even take the lead. But I think it was tie it up, get close. So Mitchell was inches away from being the guy you needed, for being the guy they needed, and then Penix was just lighting it up the entire game. Like, just, man, I've never seen someone throw a ball with like this perfect arc the way he does it, and it just, I think he elevates everyone around him. So obviously you have to translate from being really good in college to being like making it in the NFL. It's like a big leap, and just because you're that guy in college doesn't mean you can do it in the NFL. But I think we'll see if we get more evidence that Rome Odunze is a bust, Polk is a bust, McMillan is fine but not a superstar, and then Penix emerges as like this dude who's really good. It'll all click. We'll all figure it out in the next season. Maybe that's 2025.
And I mean that defense he was destroying in the Natty. I mean that might be better than some NFL defenses. Even that Michigan defense was like
Michigan, yeah.
historic.
It was
Yeah,
Harbaugh too.
Yeah, Harbaugh defense, but that defense was NFL players through and through. That's an insane college defense.
Yeah, we could go back because now some more of those players had graduated who still stuck around, even though a lot of them did graduate that year. We could do it, but there's like 12, 13 NFL like drafted players from that defense alone, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean for
Over the
my
few
money,
years,
I
over
think
the last few years.
CB1, I think he was a second round pick this year because he's slow and has a bad attitude. But
Yeah.
Will Johnson, I did not understand him falling that far. That was
I
crazy
thought
to
he was
me.
graded as like a top 20 player.
Yeah, I think he had some off the field stuff and he had some kind of like foot injury. It was just surprising. I couldn't believe when he fell that far.
Sauces. I think we reviewed, we kind of did a quick review through the teams. I guess we didn't specifically focus on David's, but a Bijan, Trey McBride, Garrett Wilson, that's pretty nice.
Rainbow start.
Yeah, and then Jaden Daniels. So he's got the 4 different. Like, I've sometimes thought that's like a fun way to start, is having an elite running back, tight end, receiver, and quarterback. I would say though, I don't know if I like Garrett Wilson as like my kind of stake in the ground of one wide receiver through 4 rounds. He definitely gets the targets. He's definitely good. I just don't know if he has the like super ceiling with like how many passing yards is Fields like realistically going to have, like best case scenario, like 3,000, like 32,000.
Like 3,500, maybe best case.
So that's what I meant. Sorry, not 32,000. You know what I meant.
Yeah. No, I know what you meant when you said it. Yeah. But I do think Garrett as like your top guy, it feels okay just because he'll be such a target monster.
Yeah, Bryce was a real benching. When I said it, I remember back. I was like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't like really injury related.
No, he got back because Dalton crashed his car and got injured.
Right.
That was the thing.
His minivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reflect the Sun. How you doing tonight, my man? Hope you're having a good Saturday night. Big Washington fan. Very familiar with the Penix game. Dude's legit. Yeah, he's unbelievably good deep. He leads the receivers in a way where it's like Jeez, he throws it so on his deep balls, only his receivers will get to it. Like he puts it in a spot where the defenders would never have a chance, and like if the receiver can make a spectacular catch, it's like a huge play. At least that's what I noticed him doing, and I think that's like a quality or like a trait that NFL quarterbacks like would like to have. Like it's like not all of your NFL quarterbacks can be good deep passers.
I remember pre-draft last year, Penix was my like favorite QB out of all the rookies. Like maybe not totally
Nice.
fantasy because he doesn't run, but I love Penix before he came out.
And I'm being led to believe that he might run a little bit more than what we saw in college. So maybe they unlock some of that. We'll see. Maybe he's just, get something. And then, yeah, the Kirko, I feel like they instantly regret that. I think they paid Kirk before they realized they'd have the opportunity to draft Penix. And then when they got the opportunity to draft Penix, they were like, oops.
Mhm. Well, that's the rumors. Like they fell in love during the process, right? They didn't know how much they liked him, and then they just fell in love and couldn't pass on him. And
Yeah,
then and Kirk, I mean, he started kind of hot, but he looked pretty rough last year.
true. Yeah, he slowed down. Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate you chilling with us, JT. Always good to see you in the chat. Catch you streaming again real soon. Oh yeah, and then JT, he reached out. I have to respond to you on Twitter. He reached out about doing some drafts together. I had him on the channel earlier this week, but I'm definitely going to link up with him and do some drafts again real soon. Just got to get back to him on Twitter on that one. Yep. Yeah, back when Penix was on Indiana. I mean, he had a long college history with injuries and things. He was there for a while. Kind of reminds me of like how Cam Ward was in college for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. All right. All right, Krieth. We know it. You don't have to point it out. Yeah. Oh, he went Roman Wilson. He took Roman Wilson over. I
That's
don't
his
know. I
dude.
don't see it, but I could be convinced. But I have not clicked Roman Wilson in the year 2025. Zero
I
fucks. 50% Wicks. The
Oh
dude.
yeah. Zero Fugs famously a Packers fan.
Yeah. And famously going hard in the Discord.
Oh yeah, always.
Always. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Gino went to David, I think. Or was that who it was? Or was it
Bowers,
it was
MG.
actually Good Googly's team. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, I just checked my pre-draft. I don't have a single Antonio Gibson share, so maybe I'm not too sharp.
Or
I
maybe
don't know. Seems like the
you're
sharps were
extremely
clicking it.
sharp.
Yeah, Trevion bailout.
Yeah. Oh, because then Wicks, yeah, with Dobbs going to Pitt. We'll see. It's hard to
Yeah,
predict these trades and things. Usually it's more of a surprise. Like DK Metcalf going to the Steelers, I never would have guessed that.
yeah. And I mean, Wicks could get some play just outside, especially Reed's kind of more of a slot guy. Golden might rotate into the slot with Reed not being full-time player, so Wicks might get some play outside too. So I mean, I think Wick's a good pick. I think we both do. We have a lot of them, but you
Yep.
just don't want to overdo it too much. We kind of talked about that though.
I think he's fine. I didn't hear much on that, but I don't know if Hartman, do you have any other takes on Kraft with the recent injury?
I saw it. I read up on it a little. It doesn't sound too serious. They said like he went into the tent and stuff, but it sounded like a day or two after he was pretty much fine. Just getting held out a little bit, just early in camp. They don't want to risk anything.
This is some good anti-Wicks propaganda here, which I do like Savion Williams. He had 111 touches last year in college, with 50 of them being rushing attempts. Dude
Mhm.
was just like, they got the ball in his hands a ton. And so he's fast, he's tall, he's big. I don't know if he's a good best ball click in 2025. I'm probably pretty excited about him in Dynasty, and maybe he's the next Cordero Patterson or something, but maybe not the same caliber, but I think he's a very interesting one. I haven't had an excuse to click him yet because Wicks is essentially free, so it's hard to move on to Savion, who's like even later than that.
Yeah, just need camp news before I'm really clicking Savion much. But he could definitely be viable. Maybe later summer click though.
Yeah. Oh, higher on Dak. Yeah, I mean, I think Dak's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Take Wicks again in the drafter streets. Oh, we got the review. Steph was around for the review. You're in luck, good googly. You got a B plus. Oh, she likes it. She really likes it. If you got Dak, he would have brought you up for sure. Yeah, it was close. It was close. It's a good team. It's a good team.
Pour a little salt in the wound with the grade.
Look, it's only been 15 minutes since that comment, so we're perfectly on pace, according to James.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, appreciate it. No, I'm feeling it's fine. You know, the whole house gets a little sick with the little kids running around and everything, and everyone gets sick at once, and we're all getting through it. But everyone's good, and we're still out here drafting, having fun. Gonna be doing it again. Probably, I'm pretty sure I'm going live tomorrow night. I don't know if I have anything hot in the schedule, but Monday night on BINDLES channel, BALLSY episode. I think we're at episode
4, right?
4. Yeah, 4. And it's going to be Emo Cowboy coming on. It's going to be a great time. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys tune in. 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. I of course am in Central Time, but I've learned to err in my ways. I will now be announcing in Eastern and Pacific because the world does not revolve around me, although I like to think it does. Yep. Appreciate it. Always good to have you in here, Steve. We'll do more drafts again soon, and definitely got to hook up with Steve again soon and get him back on the stream, and always enjoy his comments and his feedback and his answering the chat's questions. That's one of the things I love about hanging out with you guys in the chat is like a lot of people come in with questions, and then you get all these different perspectives on what to do, and some really sharp people in here that like to give a little thought to their player takes and what's going on. So that's always one of the most fun parts of just drafting with you guys here on stream is hearing all of your takes, your exposures, and your reasonings, and just learning a little bit more each day. Yeah, I think I predicted the Raiders would have drafted him, but then they didn't have the chance to, right? But then they took Bowers, so it worked out. Oh yeah. The team view. Yeah, I probably should have used the team view. Oh, Fields and Wilson together, like Garrett Wilson. BK GJ says Fields was. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And then the number 2, it's like, isn't it Josh Reynolds? Yeah. Yeah. Didn't you said it? Yeah, Josh Reynolds number 2, right? Yeah, I think so. And no one ever drafts Josh Reynolds. Maybe it's like a sneaky, interesting 18th round pick with Fields, which we didn't even consider it.
Lazard or that new rookie. It's getting some hype, but yeah, maybe Josh Reynolds is a good bet.
I don't know. He's never been a good pick before, but maybe this time.
Yeah. Never
Say
wrong
on the next read. Early. That's kind of interesting too. Yeah. I don't know. I thought they might have moved Dobbs, but they seem like they have turned the page, or not turned the page. They've reconciled their differences. I think they like Dobbs again.
Well, Dobbs plays a more unique role, I think, than like he's kind of the sacrificial X, like big body guy, right? But I think Reed is a guy that LaFleur loves to have like that speed and explosiveness out of the slot. I guess that's how I kind of read it. Maybe not though. It's always tough to say with stuff like that.
That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah, makes sense. Tyrod Taylor is a good superflex play.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. What up, Terrence Charles? How you doing on this Saturday night? Hope you're having a good one, my man. Always good to see you in here. Tyrod Taylor. I haven't done a ton of superflex. Hartman, have you drafted any Tyrod?
I might have one share. He's Fields backup, right? So yeah, he's the Jets. He's on the Jets.
So. He was on the Jets last year, wasn't he?
I think so. I know he's on the Jets now. I've had some Discord arguments about they're gonna bench Fields for Tyrod. So I'm a little bit aware um, but yeah, I mean, Tyrod's good just because the running quarterback might be more injury prone. Get a 20th round guy that can run a little. Like Mariota too. I like him in the 20th round. Steve's talked
Yes.
about that too. Jaden Daniels backup has rushing ability. Like rushing upside backup always feels pretty good in the 20th.
Yeah. Wow. Packers fans in 67. Love it. Love it. A true fan. Sticking with the team. And then yeah, seen it all. Very cool. Been through that's a good amount of for a lot of teams like the Browns, that would be like 100 quarterbacks, but that's like for the Packers, that's like 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a great team to be a fan of, I'm sure.
Facts.
Uh,
Facts right there.
well, yeah. Whoa, Zero Fucks has just found one of his new friends. You have to get two mules and a cart in the Discord, Zero. You have to tell him to join, and you guys can share your Packers exposure, your Wix exposures. Chat, am I cooked? I was like, oh, Hartman has something. Wait a second, Hartman, you're in the stream with me. So used to seeing you in the chat too. Draft Lazard in case he's a Steeler. This is such best ball community / fantasy football community, like being extremists, being like, oh, he's got to be with Rodgers. He couldn't play anywhere else. There's no way.
I mean, historically, good bet.
Yeah, historically good bet. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, appreciate it. Appreciate you being here, man. Always fun. What up, Jamie? How you doing? What are you drafting tonight? Have you been in these DK streets or are you back in the underdog streets? Disbanded popping in the late night drafts. What's up, Disbanded? Who's winning this draft? I think we're all gonna lose. There's like 10 of us in here, and it's gonna be the 2 people who aren't in here who advance somehow with naked. Who'd we see? We took a naked CJ Stroud. No, he had Higgins.
Yeah.
Wasn't there golf? Yeah, golf went with the Gibbs team. Okay, well,
yeah.
everyone drafted
That's
fine. There was
naked,
no bad
though.
teams, but
some guy took naked Dak, I think.
I think
he's in the chat. So. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was David.
Yeah.
Some guy. Yeah, are we winning this draft? Yes, we won it. We won the draft.
Of course. I always draft winners exclusively.
What
do you mean?
It's I highly suggest you draft winners.
Yeah. Yeah, right now it's June. They're all winners.
Downtown in LA right now. Well, either have fun or be safe. I don't know what that means. Hopefully it's fun. It sounds fun. Could be fun. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know Nick's near LA.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's grammatically correct. I believe that's the way you say it. Yeah. Yeah.
Best ball IDP combo league. That's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. That's really wild. I've never done IDP. That's some real ball knowing because you got to know all the defensive players on teams that aren't the teams you actually follow.
I got Dax wide receiver 2 in the 18th round. Fair enough. Fair enough. CeeDee Lamb might get hurt. He said Pickens gonna bust. That's how I know someone doesn't know ball.
Oh shit!
No, I don't
Called
know.
out.
Pickens is that dude though. Jalen Tolbert. I mean, it's a cope take. I respect that. In this universe, right? You got Jalen Tolbert with Dak in the 18th round. In this universe, like we were talking, you're building the story. I respect that. Yeah. You're telling me that guy's gonna bust?
Come on. Couldn't be him.
What do they call him? NFL young boy.
Is that is that what he is on Twitter?
Oh, I don't know if he is, but like NBA young boys, like the rapper, he wears like sometimes he wears those. So a lot of people called him NFL young boy, like after that.
Maybe it's just us then. I mean, Do current young NFL players even have Twitters, or are they just on all the other socials that I'm not on? I don't even know.
I guess I don't know. I don't follow any of NFL players on Twitter now that I think about it.
I try not to unless I've always liked them or if they've are already out of the league. And I do follow some, and then on like my personal Twitter, like I have just always followed some, or especially if like they're college players that I liked or like they played at Texas. But I try not to follow them on Twitter or ever like at them or ever like respond to their stuff. It's just like a weird fantasy to real football line that shouldn't be crossed too often.
Yeah, I guess as long as you're not hating, it's fine.
Oh,
Like,
I would never hate, but also you don't want to be that guy who's like, "You lost me my fantasy league." It's like that's like the worst look.
oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like as long as you're not doing that, I mean, if like they post like I don't know, I saw J.K. Dobbins posted like a sick run he had. Like if you go comment on that, like oh man, J.K. Dobbins the goat.
Yeah,
Like
I do
that's
like
fine.
that. That makes sense. There's
Yeah.
I think it's Michael Kim, one of the golfers. I think it is Michael Kim. He's like super active on social media in like the last couple years, and he like responds to stuff, and people will be like on Twitter like, "Oh, like fuck Michael Kim, I lost this bet because I had this parlay that he would like, have a bogey free round or something," and then he responds, he's like, "Sorry." He's like super humble and like, "Oh, sorry, man. Hope you win your bet next time." And then they're like, "Oh no, just kidding, Michael. I love you. I didn't mean to hate on you." Like they flip the switch super quick because like they would never think that he would see it, but he sees it.
That's the crazy thing, like, when people, like, actually comment to the guy or, like like, sometimes we talk bad about a player for, like, fantasy, but it's like in a vacuum in this relative thing, but if you, like, add a guy and talk some trash, and then you, why would you do that if you're actually a fan? That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. The Ice Bowl,
Damn,
nice.
that's like the Bart Starr game, like the OG stuff, right? That's
Uh,
crazy.
that reminds me of watching NFL Network replays of like the 10 craziest NFL games of all time. You know that like they have that top 10 thing they
Oh,
do,
yeah, yeah.
which I only ever see it if I'm like at my parents' house or something. I don't have cable.
Yeah, same here.
OG. Yeah, definitely an OG. 30% Pickens last year. Well, Pickens was a guy you would have liked to had in 2023. He went off in week 17, and maybe it was week 16 actually, but he put up 40. I think he put up 40 points in weeks 16 or 17 in
Yeah, I
2023.
think I think 16 sounds right, but yeah, one of the 2 either way, yeah.
And
Him
Amari
and
Cooper,
Amari, right?
Amari
Yeah.
put up a ton in week 16, and then he sat out week 17.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right. Yeah, who would have thought Amari and Pickens were the guys you needed right then?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. 2 meals. Let's do it
With the
again.
Pickens. Yeah, get
Yeah,
more.
yeah. Had Amari that year. I had Amari that year. I was really bummed. That was the team I always talk about. They got seventh in the Poodle that had CeeDee Lamb and Amon Ra. It also had Amari on it. So he helped get me there, but he didn't help me get across the finish line to the promised land of winning a best ball tournament.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. No, he didn't cost me $1 million. It was more like I think the top for the Poodle was like 30 or 40,000, but that would have been still very sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Enough to rent a white Lamborghini for a couple months,
There
which is
you
the
go.
goal. I don't know if I've ever said it, but when I win Best Ball Mania, of course I'll have to give half of it to Hartman because it's going to be one of these teams.
There you go.
But I'm going to rent a Lamborghini for as long as I can with the remaining after tax proceeds, which will probably be about 12 to 18 months, depending on the lease rates at that point. But that's exactly what I'm going to spend the money on. I'm just going to drive around in a Lamborghini for a little while, and I don't see a better way to spend that money.
I mean, you win BBM, you can just buy the Lamborghini.
You would think that, but taxes are a son of a bitch. So I don't.
That's
I'd have to win BBM and pay the taxes and hope it's during a draft where I didn't share it with somebody else. Like obviously if you're on, we would split it. So it's pretty thin. Like after the taxes, you're like, wait a second, how much money do I get again?
yeah. Yeah, 3-way split with Uncle Sam.
And then the car insurance on a Lambo and the gas mileage. I mean, it would go quick. But I'm
Yeah.
still gonna do it. That's the goal.
I got one purchase I need to make if I somehow bink it, I need a Rolex. That's
Ooh,
the thing. Yeah. That'd be
there you go.
the big purchase. Then probably a house other than that. That's the
I
more
do
important one.
a house after that. Yeah, Rolex
Yeah.
house, same price. What's the difference? One of them's a little bit more practical. One of them's bigger flex, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I mean, a down payment on a house is probably a Rolex, but there's some Rolexes that are insane. I'm not wearing a watch right now. I don't have a Rolex, but I do have an Apple Watch that I like to wear just because it tracks steps and workouts and stuff. And it was a
Oh yeah.
Christmas gift, so you can't go wrong getting a gifted watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Keenan, yeah, I don't remember if I had Keenan that year. Ah, yeah, it's always the teams that don't advance that end up being potentially the ones that could win it. That's like the classic. That's why if your team ever gets cut and doesn't advance, you should never look at it again because just knowing that pod luck screwed you out of potentially winning or like getting a top 10, it hurts too much.
Yeah. I remember I've done that before. You shouldn't look. There's no point. Just pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember the CD Amon-Ra year. I had like a crazy like week 16 one that got knocked out. And it was like just the pod I got put in was insane. Because I had whoever the big spike was that week too, if it was like Amari or whatever. But it was like 180 something for me and then like 189 for my opponent. Got knocked out, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, yeah. Yeah, it's just pain. There's no point in doing that.
Yeah, I don't, I can kind of relate recently. I had the albatross advanced and my two that advanced were my fifth and ninth highest scoring albatrosses. My 1 through 4 and my 6 through 8 all got pod lucked out.
Hmm. Yeah, it really is I mean, that's the tough part of this game, but that's why the prizes are so big, right? So, you
Pod
know.
luck is a big part of it, and it's a fun time of year, week 15 and 16 of the NFL season, when best ball bros bitch on Twitter about pod luck for about 2 or 3 weeks straight, and then we forget about it for the rest of the year. But there's definitely a time and a place for bitching about pod luck.
Yeah. Well, now if people start bitching about it, you just ask them how many marathons and sprints did you do?
Yeah, I just
Did
send
you
him a picture
actually?
of the sprint and then it overlaid and be like, bro,
Yeah, exactly.
oh nice.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
shipped the pit bull that year? I don't know if I'd caught that yet, Jim. That's sick. That's a fun tournament to win. Oh, right, right. Yeah, Keenan missed that week too, I guess. That's interesting. So, Hartman, I don't know if I've asked you this on stream. Are you in or out on Keenan Allen? And had you heard some of the recent like back and forths I've had about Keenan Allen?
Um, I've maybe heard a little, like, just in the sense that I'm gonna check real quick if I'm in or out. I don't know. I'm out. I have 2%. I thought I was more towards out, but he was really good last year. He commands a huge amount of targets. I just worry with him. So you have dead even amount,
Yeah,
or
but
like
that's in
that's
Best Ball Mania. I
BB1.
have less overall. Somehow I have more in Best Ball Mania.
So I think that Keenan is still a good player, but I think he is the highest risk of any of these free agent guys
To
where
retire.
a team wants to sign him even. And he's just like, I did enough in my career. I don't got to go play for a bad team. Even if it's a good amount of money, he's made a lot of money. He seems pretty content with his career. I
Right.
could see him just calling it if it's not a situation he likes. The easiest out of any player, probably.
I was talking with JT when he was on stream. I think that was I forget which night. I think it was Thursday night. But the night that he was just on my stream, we talked about Keenan Allen and where he goes right now at ADP. we talked about like, okay, what's his highest upside? If he signs somewhere good, like where would he end up getting drafted? And we kind of thought like maybe he gets drafted around like pick like 130, 140.
Mhm.
On the draft capital curve, if he goes from where he's currently at ADP, like 170s, 180s or whatever, or even late like 190s even, to that 130, 140 spot, he only gains like it was like 6 or 8% like of the 100% you could get like if you're Jamar Chase, like it's only like 6 or 8%. But if he retires, you would lose like it was I think it was 6.8. I think it was 6%. You would lose like so essentially he's
Right.
effectively priced like he's priced like really well like for the risk reward. But if you think he's gonna play, you probably should draft him a little bit ahead of the market because like he's gonna ascend if he lands anywhere, and if he lands somewhere really good, he could still pay off better than like a late round pick. But the difference between like a 13th, 14th round pick and like where he goes now is like not that significant.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think like if you knew he was signing at all, or like if you felt really confident he's gonna sign, he's not gonna retire, he's an amazing pick. It's just, the risk. Like the talent is still there. He is a good receiver, way better than where he goes, obviously. It's just, I could see him retiring the easiest out of any of those guys. Like a guy like even like Nick Chubb, I think teams are less interested in him, but
Yeah,
I think Nick Chubb desperately wants to play football still. I don't think he has any intention of quitting football. Like, so I feel almost more confident he would sign even if teams are less interested and maybe the
right.
talent's a little more gone, because he'd probably sign anywhere that would have him. Where Keenan, I think, might be a lot more selective.
This is exactly kind of like how I've been feeling about it. I think they're very valid points. I don't know that like having 30% Keenan Allen is going to win you anything, but it could like sink a lot of your teams.
Mm. Yeah, like I wouldn't be really overweight on him, but I think kind of like how you have it, like you have him about 7% overall. I think that's good where you're getting that upside and you're taking that bet. But also kind of like you said, like at 140, you can still hammer him later.
You
You
can
like
still hammer him later, and there's no risk of him retiring at that point. And it's like to me that makes more sense.
right, because he's not gonna rise so much that you're like, oh, I just can't click him here. Especially if he doesn't surpass that like 120 range at receiver, like kind of where like at least in my opinion, where Bateman and those rookies go. If he goes behind them, I really don't think you got to worry. Like, I don't like a lot of those receivers. So I'm just saying, like, the fall off is kind of before that point anyway. So if you
Yes,
want to just start hammering them there, I think at receiver, your opportunity cost isn't even that bad, anyways. So I'd be okay just kind of loading up at that point.
essentially, there's no way he goes like pick 80.
Yeah, I would just worry if he passes up, like, if he passes Bateman, that's where I think it starts getting to where, like, it's a little, like, I don't feel great about clicking on point if it's a worse team or something.
What up, Mike? Mike
What's up?
from the Twitter world. Um, he'd be a cheap Jacoby Myers play. Give you some floor carries back. I guess so. I think he'd be. I think it's funny
Keenan
to compare
spikes.
Keenan Allen to Jacoby Myers because like Keenan Allen is Keenan Allen.
Well, Keenan still spiked last year on
Lots.
the team with the lowest yards in the entire league. Like, Keenan can still spike. He is talented, but
I would compare 2025 Keenan Allen to a like a 1 year older version of 2024 Keenan Allen.
yeah, no, that's a perfect comp. Never heard a better one in my life. Yeah.
Yo, Mike, we're about to call this stream. Going way too long. We this draft finished like an hour ago at least, and this is a great conversation. Though. This is what it's all about. We're learning things. The player takes, hanging out with y'all in the chat. Bunch of sharp guys. But I gotta call it. I gotta get some rest, and we'll be back drafting probably tomorrow night. But at the very latest, Monday night, Ballsy on Bindle's channel this week. Make sure you're subscribed to Bindle's channel as well. Make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you're subscribed to Hartman's channel. Link in description. Make sure you hit the like on the way out. Appreciate y'all being here and drafting with us. Hartman, what do you got for the people?
Uh, yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I think, we have a lot of good conversations every time we're like on together. So it's always a lot of fun just talking ball, hanging out.
Hell yeah.
Got a lot of good talk with the chat and stuff. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
always a fun time. Peace out, everybody.
All right. Thanks for being here, guys. Catch you in another draft real soon. Let's hit the outro. Peace.